This is the British Championship round 3. I'm here with Grandmaster Chris Ward. I'm Grandmaster John Emms. We are going to be commentating today on numerous events. All the junior tournaments, that's the under 8s, under 10s, under 12s, under 14s, under 16s, and under 18s, and also the senior tournaments too, which is the over 50s and the over 65. So we've got lots of possible games.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
So we're going to get the ones that are on their way up and the ones that might be on their way down.
Yes.
But not the ones in the middle. Yeah. So, okay. Great.
Right.
Excellent.
So
we've got all these junior events and the senior events. So where should we kick off, John?
Should we start with the younger, the very young ones? Because obviously there's a chance that the games don't last so long. So let's just have a look at some possibilities here.
Yeah.
On the right hand side. So let's just see what we've got. Well, I think probably the best thing to do is just
we've got a game here, George Zhao against Demian, who is Oleg.
Yes, let's have a look at this.
This should be a good quality game. There are some absolutely cracking young juniors floating around at this particular moment in time, who of course have benefited. One of the few that have benefited from the pandemic because they've spent quite a lot of time at home. And what are you going to do when you're at home? Well, let's improve my chess, or in some cases, learn and then improve their chess. So that's exactly what we've got here.
So this is actually the board 1 pairing of the under 8s. It's George Zhao is playing the white, and he's playing against Oleg Verbitsky, who is Demian 7777. Should we look at the opening, Chris? And see,
let's go for it. Yeah.
So okay, let's. It was
they learn chess, and it's straight into the London system.
It is. This is such a popular opening now at all levels of chess, including the very highest level. Magnus Carlsen played this a lot, even.
Of course, in the good old days, the London system always used to come by playing knight f3 first, but it's so topical to bring the bishop to f4 first for subtle reasons we won't go into just yet. Okay, so this is a big decision, isn't it, by Black on that last go, essentially. He's moved his d pawn to d5, which is, of course, sticking the pawn nice in the middle, controlling e4 and the rest of it. But it does leave that dark squared bishop of whites with a nice little diagonal there. So the obvious alternative was to park the pawn on d6 to blunt it a little bit, but he's gone straight to d5, yeah?
That's just okay.
Good?
Yeah, good move c5, challenging the center.
Oh, and then the bishop's gone to e2. Okay, yeah, so we've got normal moves. The bishop obviously could have... whoa. Taking pressure, tension off the center like that with the move c4. Was that really required at this stage, do you think, John? I'm not sure about that.
If we just go back here, yeah, I mean, often Black tries to keep this tension in the center. By going c4, what Black is doing is gaining a little bit of space. However, what I really like White's next move, playing the move pawn to b3, challenging that pawn straight away.
Well, the point is, of course, that Black would love ideally to support that pawn by going b4. I'm not sure. Are we on annotation mode?
We could have a look, actually.
This is incredible. Our first game, and we're already doing annotation mode.
Let's have a look at this. Yeah, because this is actually quite an important strategic moment, because this idea of going c4 to gain space, what White did here, really good move, is challenge that pawn straight away. Now, if Black in the game, Black did take and White took back. And the problem is that Black's pawn move hasn't really achieved anything at all. All it's really done is made White's pawns stronger.
Well, strictly speaking, of course, White only has one pawn island now compared to Black. And of course, the A pawn isn't really, the Black A7 pawn isn't as relevant as the White C pawn, basically. So the structure definitely favours White as a result of that.
So what Black would like to do after b3 is to challenge with b5. Not to challenge, rather, just to simply
support
his pawn, just to keep that space. And then the critical move for White here would be the move a4 to challenge the b5 pawn. And unfortunately for Black can't support it with a6 because the rook is on on a8. White wants a rook. So this is probably what White would do. And this is probably why Black chose instead to do c takes b3, and this position, let's just go through. h3 is always a typical move in the London. It means that the knight, if the knight attacks the bishop can safely retreat to h2. That's a typical move in London. So I have a few more moves, see what's happened.
Yeah.
Okay, rook c1. I probably would have. I think I might have kept that rook on A1. What do you think, Chris?
Well, this is interesting because I think this is how I particularly think juniors rooks is such a big thing, because too many of them often sort of think to themselves, well, you know, knights and bishops do the stuff early doors and then the rooks will come good in the end game. But really, all the good players plan what they're going to do with their rooks right from fairly early on, from getting castled and creating half open and open files. That white rook is already on a half open file. And if you look at black moved his rook to E8, which obviously tended to suggest that he was optimistic of maybe making a pawn break E5 at some stage in the game. But if he doesn't make that break, it's almost a kind of a wasted move, really. So, but yeah, I would have kept that rook, to answer your question, John, on the A file. It looks quite a good one. Presumably, then he could have, if he really wanted just to keep playing on the queen side, he could have nudged his queen somehow over to C1 and over that way to get his other rook over that way. It depends whether he realistically thinks he's going to be using his F rook on either the F file, the E file, or the D file anytime soon, I guess, really.
And obviously in this position, White could consider start playing with his pawns on the queen side, either C4 or possibly B4, B5.
Yeah.
So a couple of options for White there. Let's see how the game progressed. Rook C1, Queen D7. Now, I guess if Black was really aiming for this pawn break, then most sort of a choice that Black could make is to move this knight maybe to D7 and then go E5. But he chose Queen D7. And then Bishop B5. So neither side using their pawns too much at the moment. A6 attacking the bishop, and then knight E5.
Little intermezzo there. The knight come into E5, taking advantage of that pin on the C6 knight.
Queen retreats to defend the knight. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Now this next move I really like from White, C4. Now is moving the rook to C1 looks absolutely justified now. Opening up the C file, and White's going to have some pressure. Let's see how the game continued. Bishop E6, defending the pawn. And after pawn takes, bishop takes. A good recapture, making sure this pawn is defended. However, I quite like White's position. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, the problem is he's got those two isolated pawns on the queen side, of course, A6 and C6, which are a little bit weak. And although the bishop is nicely posted in the centre, there's always the danger that White could play E4 at some stage to make it a little bit awkward.
Sure. Maybe this is another plan.
And of course, there's pressure on that C6.
Or maybe to A5 as well.
Yeah, or simply ganging up on that C6 pawn. Yeah, there with knight A5 or with the rooks and the rest of it. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's. This game is having a bit of a thing, so let's move on to another game, should we? Now I've got so many games on the right-hand side here, and let's just see if we do have any. Do we have any other underrates, Chris? Here.
Oh yeah, we can check out some underrates. I just want to remind everybody, of course, do feel free to type in a message if you want to. Hello, of course, to anyone following us, Natasha and such like. So essentially, yeah, if you've got any questions or anything, pop it in. Every now and again, we'll check out the chat and and see what's going on. Let's have a bit of fun for this session. Right, under 8. Okay, so here we go.
So have we got Advait 1603 on the list here?
Oh,
can't see that.
No, yeah, we've got
cute. No, we don't actually.
We could go for a.
Should we try under 10?
Have we got Tishan? Oh, are we going to move up to? Yeah, I was just going to check out the Tishan from the under 8s. Is that possible? Have we got that one came under control?
Which number?
That would be board number 6 in the under 8s.
Board number 6. What's the username?
Tishan. I think it's Tishan. It's probably his real name by the looks of it. Tishan Hang. Q, starting with a Q.
So let me follow that. Follow. How do you do that? Tishan.
Yeah. So the surname is Han, H-A-N, and it's Q-I-X-I-A-N-G.
I-X-I-A-N-G.
Oh, this is so sophisticated.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's see what we get.
Unable to follow.
No. What about
can't follow the game?
What about the Zoe Veselo? Zoe, yeah, because we could. Is Zoe the only girl? I'm wondering who is the highest girl in that.
What's her username?
As far as I can make out, it is her main name, which is just Veselo and then Zoe.
So
V-E-S-E-L-O-W and then Zoe.
V-E-S.
V-E-S-E-L-O-W
and Zoe. Let's see what unable to follow.
They're quite secretive.
They are, yes. Unfortunately, we can only follow ones that allow us to follow. So we've got lots on the right-hand side that we are able to follow.
Okay, so, let's go to the under. Should we go to the under 10s or whatever?
Yes. So what have we got here?
Tell us what
here we go. Here we go. Here's the game. This is board 1 of the under 10s. So this is Cameron Gross against Rakaya Ryder.
Wow, okay.
This looks like a very exciting start. Let's go from the start.
What on earth is going on here? Yeah, let's go from the start here.
So both these players have actually got 2 points from their first 2 games, both that won their first 2 games. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop C4, bishop C5. So the Italian game.
It might be a junior event, but it's a throwback to the old times now with the B4, the Evans Gambit.
I think this is a really good opening to play, and especially at junior level, because, well, Chris, why do you like the Evans Gambit? Why do you think it's a good opening to play?
Well, it basically gets your piece. It gets your lead in development or a centre nicely built up quite quickly, albeit at the expense of a pawn. I'm not quite as keen on you as donating the pawns early doors, because if they end up just swapping off pieces, they suddenly realise, wait a minute, I'm a pawn down in the end game or something. But like you say, if they can take advantage of the initiative, they'll build up. Right. Well, so what's happened here? White's played B4 and said, there you go, take my pawn if you want to.
What I like about it is, though, that the pawn you're giving up is not a centre pawn, it's a wing pawn. So it's like it allows you to gain a move by attacking the bishop, which then allows you to get that pawn to D4 straight away. So this is a really complicated line, of course. I mean, black could actually take that pawn takes pawn, and we can't take back with the pawn for the moment.
Yeah, so much for building up a pawn centre.
Yeah.
You can't respond.
But let's go to the live analysis on this.
Good grief, we're like analysing the.
So basically,
so what does happen? Do we just castle and make more sacrifices?
We just make more sacrifices, and now we do want to do pawn takes pawn, and if black could be even greedier.
It's totally greedy.
Yeah. So black in this position, white's actually 3 pawns down. But now if you look at what white can do, for example, white could play the move Queen B3 immediately, attacking this pawn. And white's got very, very strong initiative. For example, if the queen goes to E7 to defend it.
To defend it, yes.
Now we can take.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
that knight is aiming for D5. That's quite tasty,
square,
isn't it? Yeah.
And that's a very nice idea for white, going knight D5. And if black gets rid of that idea, then suddenly our queen's on a very nice square bearing down here. And we've got ideas of like bishop A3 or bishop B2 and pushing our pawn to like break open the center, basically trying to just win very quickly while black's not developed. So in the game, actually,
we did actually, just a quick message, by the way, John. We've got LIZ. We can follow Lizzie. Look at this. We're getting all this information in. It's great.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So we can follow Lizzie LIZZYKHA. Well, I'm making a little note of that for a second. So once we finish this game, we'll head back there and we can follow that game for the girl Zoe, who is playing in the event.
Okay, excellent stuff. Right.
So let's head back to this, of course.
Yeah. So basically, what black chose to do here, the curious parrots went pawn to D6. That's very solid. I like that move. Yeah. Now I think the book move here is actually Queen B3 to put pressure on this pawn, just to show you, just to demonstrate actually the dangers for black here. A typical move for black would be Queen there, just to defend the pawn. But now white's got this very nice idea, just going there. Now that doesn't look great because it looks like it blocks the queen and bishop. But the good news for white is when the knight retreats, we've got a very strong move here. We can just
a little tactics. Looking out for checks like that is always a good one. Yeah. Even on A4 that would have worked, but B5 looks.
Yeah, exactly. So in the game, white went Queen A4, which also creates some threats. Also looks quite strong because it threatens to go D5, doesn't it?
It does.
Wow. And now black played the move A6.
So hang on. So presumably white could have gone E takes D4 there to eliminate that threat. Is that right?
Sure, that might have been a reason.
Because then it's pinned, and then the cold Queen B3 would be a tempo down.
Yes, that might have been a good idea, because if white takes with the knight, what black can do now is he can support that knight with another knight, so that it keeps that bishop nice and safe. This looks okay for black, actually, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So a6 happened, but this also looks quite interesting because now it becomes threat and counter threat.
Oh my
D5,
word! Pins,
B5.
hooks, everywhere thing we've
Okay.
got here.
Bishop takes b5, looks good. Pawn takes, then queen takes, and this is how we've left it. Well, obviously, if we go back to the actual position, maybe we can see how it's progressed. But obviously, white's going to win the piece back.
And ironically, white might actually find himself a pawn up.
Yeah, for example.
But it's black that's going to have a lead in development with the initiatives.
Yeah, for example, knight e7, pawn takes, and then castles, and then white is actually a pawn up, actually, in this position. But it's black who's actually got the more active pieces.
Pawn. Is it 3 isolated pawns on the queen side like that?
Yeah. So okay, all right. Let's go back. Oop. Yep. Okay. Let's go back now. Shall we try? Shall we try that follow, Chris?
Yes, let's try it. Okay. So I've got the. If you do your follow thing again, and it's Lizzie, so it's all one long word with a capital L I Z Z Y K H and then A. This is going to be so exciting. See how this works. We're following her.
Right. Now we need to see on the right-hand side, how do we actually get to her? Because the trouble is this maybe it only allows a certain amount per...
Oh, no.
Yeah, it is. That's slightly annoying.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll come back to her a little later.
Yeah, sorry, guys. This is the problem of trying to follow so many tournaments and about 50 different games at the same time. Let's...
Yeah, we can move on. We can keep
move on. Yeah. Shall we just maybe the best thing to do is actually just use this list and go up the list, shall we?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So we've got this. Okay, we've got this one here. We've got Alfred Soulier as white against Scientific Mouse as black. This tournament is the under 10s board 2. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Let's just briefly look at the opening. It was the French defense. Now, this is completely different to the Evans Gambit, isn't it? This is all blocked up. Okay. C5, good move, challenging the center. Let's have a look at a few more moves.
Wow.
This looks quite theoretical, Chris.
This is very, I think I've had this myself.
So black basically wants to... tell me about it, Chris.
So this is a little bit unusual. So essentially, black played a6, looking, as you just said, to expand the pawns on the queen side. And usually white here eventually will take the pawn on c5 or nudge the queen up to d2. And then there'll be the big decision for white will be, does he move his light square bishop castle king side or does he castle queen side? But here it's kind of made that decision already by playing the move a4, which is a little bit unusual.
That is.
So when essentially white's played a4 to say, no, thou shalt not be expanding on the queen side just yet. But of course, you can't really imagine white wanting to castle queen side now that you've played that move there, because surely that would be way too weakening. So that decision, then black as a result said, oh no, it's like he's sulking here, saying, I really wanted to go b5. So instead he's just played b6.
Yeah, well, you say that, Chris, about sulking, but actually b6 is... what do you think about that move?
Yeah, I'm wondering about that at this very moment. I suppose, well, it certainly gives back the option also to recapture on c5 with a pawn, should white ever take. So it's far from a ridiculous move, but I'm just
like a decent move to me.
Yeah, but the question, yes. God, this is so much to discuss about this position. But b6, it doesn't look like a ridiculous move. The sulking seemed a bit harsh, didn't it? Can I retract that? Can we? We'll edit that one out, basically, that one. So b6, I didn't mean, no one's sulking around here. So b6 was played and bishop e2. That's fair enough. Surely we'll looking to get white's obviously decided.
I mean, obviously white could go to d3 with the bishop. That's obviously the nicest diagonal for the bishop. But it does allow black if to like maybe go c4 or even knight b4 to challenge that bishop. So it's just gone with e2 for the moment. Black's played knight e7. Oh, we've just had a few more moves, but let's see how it went. Knight e7. That's an interesting move as well. The knight's obviously wants to come around to the square f5. Yeah.
But f5 looks like a good. Yeah, that's the.
Let's just see how the game progressed. Knight f5.
Nice game actually. I have to
bishop f2. Okay, good bit keeping the bishop. Bishop b7.
Right.
And then white did choose to castle kingside. That makes sense. Bishop e7 and rook a d1. Okay, and now I think Black played a good move, which maybe what he did play is h5. Now
I like that, but that is quite a mature.
it is. Now, of course, it looks a bit odd to start moving pawns in front of your king, but what Black's realised is that he wants to keep this knight on this really nice square here, and he was concerned about White playing g4 to chase it away. So by going h5, it secures that knight on a lovely square. It's very difficult for White to get rid of that knight now just by moving pawns up to chase it. For example, if White were to play the move h3, actually, because we're on live, we can't actually do that. But yeah, but if we just let me just if White were to play the move h3, what Black could do is go h4. And then if White goes g4, of course, Black can use the en passant rule, and that wouldn't be good news for White.
No, that would not be good news for White.
So bishop d3.
But something very interesting has happened here, though, because now he moves his knight back, doesn't he? So he
does move it back.
Presumably, he'd gone h5 to secure the knight on that position. So to go back feels a little bit odd to me.
It does. Now, what he's obviously concerned about is the bishop taking and having to take with a pawn, and then maybe that leaves that pawn very weak. But certainly, what would be an alternative option then to moving back, Chris?
Well, I would have said g6 looks like an obvious option.
I think.
Now, the big question you have to weigh up then is whether or not you're conceding too many holes in your position. And also, one thing that would be, it seems a long way off, but what I wouldn't want is White to be able to swap that bishop for the knight, swap off the dark square bishops, and ultimately reach a position whereby we have a really terrible bishop on b7. But that's quite a lot of things would have to happen.
That is such a long way off, isn't it? Yeah.
So I think I would attempt g6 would be my instant reaction to this position.
You see, basically, in the very short term, if we go g6 and if they take, we'd take with the g pawn. And then our rook could even go to g8, and we'd actually have a lovely long file for our rook as well. So anyway, knight h6 has been played, and I guess the bishop could always be attacked later on. The knight could then just hop back to f5.
Yeah.
So okay, good. Let's. Wow, we've actually had. We've actually had a result already. Actually, should we have a look at what happened in that game between Stanbad and Eden Hazard 7?
Oh, QH02 as well is something we could get. I think that's probably the same as the Lizzie game if ever we get it. Sorry, John, I'm reading messages coming my way.
Yeah, tell you what we'll do. There's a couple of games that have finished. If we go through them, we can then cross those off.
Yeah, we can cross those off. A couple of finished games. Which section would those be, John?
Well, let's have a look at this game. This is Stanley Badasconi against Max Pert in the under 12s.
Wow! Oh
yeah, let's have a quick look. Okay, a very quick game actually.
Really?
So, yes, it was. Yeah.
This is
okay.
No, I don't deny it. Right, D4. Yeah. So our London system, of course. Where else will we find it?
Okay, let's gloss over the opening a little bit. It's just a typical opening, and White's played knight c3 instead of pawn to c3, which is the London system normal. Okay. And I like this move, bishop b4.
Yes.
Just to pin the knight, but okay. C5.
I love that idea. Yeah. That's for sure. Making pawn
taking, and then this is also quite a nice idea. Knight d7. Rather than just taking with the bishop, we're actually going to leave our bishop on this lovely diagonal and recapture with the knight. That's quite a mature move, actually. Knight d7. Knight e5.
Yeah, good.
Wow. Okay, now it gets very, very complicated. I guess maybe White could just be satisfied here by moving the bishop to d3. That might have been a sensible option, because obviously knight e5 is tempting, but we are moving our pieces more than once.
We could do with developing the other one.
Whereas, of course, knight e4, it does move the knight second time, but Black's threats become very dangerous, don't they?
Well, particularly right now, there's one on c3. That's
actually already a difficult one for White to deal with, to be honest with you, isn't it?
Yeah. That is one of the problems of putting the knight on c3 in this variation, as compared to the alternative attempt of putting it on d2 and the pawn on c3,
exactly.
As we saw in the
so I got a feeling already. I got a feeling already that White's in a spot of bother.
I mean, funny, there's even a queen to come to a5 if need be.
Yeah, let's just see what happens. Okay, so queen g4. Okay, that really ups the stakes, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay.
That is absolutely crazy.
Now, really? Obviously, with so much you could analyze here, but I think Black's next move, to be honest, is just a simply good practical move. Of course, you could take on c3 with the knight, But then you'd have to, obviously, there's some complications with queen takes g7. Just castling, keeping all threats, I think, is a very nice move. And the point is, it seems to me that white's threats can be dealt with more easily than black's threats. I mean, white's sort of big possible threat here is this bishop h6, but black's next move, queen f6.
Yeah, very good move.
And I think, unfortunately, now, all of white, for white anyway, not only unfortunately for white, not for black, black's dealing with everything here, and black's threats becoming more and more.
Knight d3, doesn't that just lose like?
I don't. Or do you, Chris? Do you see a good move for white here?
Maybe you're right. Maybe no. In fact, there's nothing good. But this is
a good move.
Completely pear-shaped. And if you don't mind me saying so, John, one obvious problem here, and this is a difficulty that all juniors are going to have to overcome here. Look at the speed of which this game has been played. So they've reached so many moves. They've actually got a load of time on the clock in this game. Yeah. But the one downside is these players in particular, Stanley, who I know has done incredibly well at blitz chess over the break. He's an incredible blitz player. But no, now you have time on the clock. You really need to start using it. And obviously, as we hopefully transition back into more over-the-board play, you really want to be using the time on your clock. So this is the problem. He's going to lose this game really quickly, and he's going to kick himself for not playing some slightly more accurate moves early on. But it's like he's gone for some big thing on g7. It's not worked, and he's left himself completely open elsewhere. And this is now what happens, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Let's see how the game finished. So knight d3. Okay, yeah, that knight was under attack. And yes, I'm still HairChess.com.
Good, John. Yeah. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, don't. Yeah. So bishop takes c3 check, and okay, king e2. Because of course, if you take the bishop, you're losing the rook in the corner. Queen takes. Well, yes, you are. And then the queen also then defends the remaining pawn as well. So so where were we? King e2. And now, okay, well, white's a piece down, and actually more, yeah.
Oh, my word, yeah.
Okay, and let's just briefly look at how the game finished. Yeah, okay, very sensible play by Max, just swapping off.
Good player, young Max, good player.
Yeah, even willing to give up a piece there to swap off queens. But when you're so far up, then I guess it doesn't matter, does it?
No.
Okay, right. Good game from Max there.
Good game from Max.
Off. I've also we did have a finish in the under 8s.
Ah.
Yeah, board 1. This is the game we looked at previously. Should we briefly see how this went?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We finished it. We sort of left it around about here.
Yes.
And a lot of moves were played actually. So let's just keep going. And this is it. This is where we left it actually. Takes c4 is a very good move.
So back on the time situation, both players almost have got more time than they started off with, of course, which is into a complex middle game. Knight c4, yep, keep going.
That's a nice move. Threatening knight b6, rook b8 to prevent it, and then knight a5. So this is all really nice play by
George.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, okay. Rook b6 to defend, queen c2. It seems maybe impossible now for black to defend that pawn. So let's see how the game progressed. Knight h5. I think that's a good try. Black has to try something, doesn't he, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe perhaps this gets complicated. Let's see. Knight c6.
Whoa. So now we've got to watch out for knight takes e7.
And exactly that's what happened. A nice tactic. So in this position, black played knight takes f4, which is a move he wants to play. But now actually white didn't recapture. George played knight takes e7.
Oh, John. This is my #1 top tip. The full name, as you know, is always look out for checks and attacks on queens. So to miss a knight takes e7, which isn't a check and an attack on queen all in one go, is a cardinal sin in my book. Well, if I'd written that book, actually, but I haven't actually written that particular book yet. But knight takes e7, yeah, so it's a bit disappointing to miss that tactic, to be honest with you, John, I have to say. So presumably black should have made some attempt.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to the point. Whenever your opponent makes a move, the first thing you should consider is that all the new possibilities, first of all, with the piece that's moved, which will actually be this knight. So you should be looking at all these sort of possible things that could do, especially checks, of course. And also, but not just that, also the new possibilities with the piece that it's unleashed. In this case, the bishop, because the knight moved from e5. So you have to look at two things before you start considering about whether your threats are equal or greater to your opponents. And here, the main threat. This is actually, of course, a big threat to win the queen with the discovered attack.
Yeah, nice tactic, of course.
It is, yeah. So in this position, I guess black would have to probably deal with that threat. Maybe one way would be to move the queen.
Yeah, one interesting. We don't want to go too deep, but I was even thinking of amusing things like Queen A8, which of course pins the knight to G2 and maybe whatever, but then maybe Bishop C7. It's all complicated.
It's of course, yeah. It's not easy for either side, but actually, to be honest with you, Chris, I always think that the main battle is to actually see the threat exists rather than actually trying to work out what to do against it. Once you actually see it, the likelihood is you will be able to find something to do against it. Yeah.
Well, that is why I often say when my opponent moves, I do ask myself, obviously you have to ask yourself the obvious question, what does that move do, what that sort of thing? But always, I think when I've decided on what move I'm going to play, just before you play it, you go, hang on now, have they got any good checks or attacks on my queen? And I like to think that Demian would have noticed after knight takes f4, knight takes c7. A little bit disappointing because he's still got a fair amount on the clock. But, these things happen, don't they? These things happen. But, yeah, he'll kick himself for that, I should think. But let's see. Should we see how it went then?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Let me just... Yeah, we'll maybe briefly just see the rest.
Just briefly, but I suspect
knight takes. Maybe once won a queen, we should.
Oh yeah, that's bad news. Yeah. So a little bit disappointing, but these things happen, don't they? But I would always recommend to juniors look out for checks and attacks on queens, the ones you can do and the ones your opponent is threatening to do against you, and then you'll never have any total disasters. That's what I say. No total disasters. Okay, we can probably eliminate that game.
Yeah, we will. Okay, all right. So we now can have a look at this game here. Lizica.
Ah, brilliant. Yes.
Here we go. This is Zhou against Yishan Han.
Tishan Han. So we've got. So what? So
should we start from the start? And this is which A group is this?
This is the under 8s.
This is the under 8s. Okay, well here we go. E4. This is a
Sicilian defense.
Sicilian defense. Main open Sicilian main.
Wow, Nidal Sicilian.
Wow, good. Yeah.
Wow. G3, a fianchetto. Good grief. Okay, fianchetto.
Why you say good grief, Chris?
No, what I mean is, I mean, it's a coincidence. I happen to know for some reason. I'm not saying it's. I know a few young girls that like to play this fianchetto variation against the Nidal. I'm thinking, wow, when I was a junior, that wouldn't have been the first line that I would have been taught by, but there it just appears G3. The bishop's got perfectly good options, and you go, no.
Bishop likes to be on a long diagonal, doesn't it? Yeah, nothing wrong with that
at the moment, but yeah. But
no, but I guess at some moment White might want to push.
Yeah, E5. So this is it. So fianchetto. Wow.
E5, and now
make sure that pawn won't be going anywhere too soon.
No, it won't. Okay. Yeah, I guess this is an interesting point to make, actually, though, isn't it? Because the thing about this is that actually, the way that black plays this Sicilian knight off is nearly specifically against this bishop, isn't it? As in, like, if it moves out to its typical square, like c4, black just blunts it and then attacks it.
Yeah.
So actually, a g3 is not...
It's going to be out of danger. It's going to be safely tucked away.
Yeah, and it's not going to be harassed by pawns, is it? Certainly e2 is a reasonable square for the bishop, where it attacks both ways as well. Yeah, but if you notice here, obviously what happened is that G3. Oops, sorry. Let me go position. G3, E5, and then the knight retreats to E2, which is a sensible square. Especially if the bishop's not going to go there. This all looks very normal stuff. Castles, Queen D7.
Well, Queen D7. Now, do you think that's because black suddenly decided I could carry on developing, but I'm thinking of going Bishop H3? Why has he prioritized Queen D7? Do you think
I think that's because I don't think it's necessarily the book move, but you can see the logic behind it. I mean, every time you're able to swap off your opponent's fianchettoed bishop, that automatically weakens their king, doesn't it? Because it basically means the bishop no longer controls these key squares. So it's a very, very natural reaction.
I mean, I can definitely see what goes through the junior's mind there. They think, I'm going Bishop H3. They'll take it. I'll take back my queen. Then I'll go my knight to G4, and there'll be a checkmate on H3.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, let's see if that sort of F4 did sort of spoil that. But I mean, you could easily see, for example, if White played incorrectly here and just probably nothing wrong. Oh, that's the problem. Every time they actually make a move, we need to go to the analysis board, don't we?
Yeah.
Every time they make a move, we go back to
update us.
Yeah, they do. Right. Yeah, we don't want that. We actually want to have a look at this position. So, for example, if white were to make a move queen d2, nothing wrong with that. And then this, and then probably by this stage, white should start being a bit careful. There's probably nothing actually wrong with this bishop takes, but it is risky.
Now you have to be careful.
Now you have to be careful. For example, if you just play a random rook move, then this suddenly is a major problem for white, who could easily be checkmated here. In fact, I think it might.
It's going to happen.
Is it going to happen? Maybe.
No, well, probably we don't need to investigate that.
No. Okay. So in the game, white played a good move, I think, f4. This is the typical Sicilian move as well, just gaining space on the king side, and maybe f5 will happen as well, just to challenge the bishop. Knight g4 is certainly a possibility to bear in mind for black here. That was certainly possible. Let me just have a look at that.
I wonder if black, this could get absolutely nutterly crazy, this variation. Because I bet you wish that you could get something on that long diagonal towards one, but if the queen moved to d7, and if you go d5, f5 could come and it could be all crazy complicated.
It could. Probably white would either have to retreat the bishop or possibly just allow the exchange. And okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's see what happened in the game. Knight c6.
b3, that's very crafty. That's threatening f5
it
now.
It's threatening to trap the bishop because you're avoiding the bishop moving to c4. And black saw this and went queen c7. That's a good move. So that after f5, the bishop could retreat. And now... Yeah, so, okay, so this...
well, there's a danger that white could play moves like h3, g4, and g5 and get a wonderful foothold for that knight on that d5 square. That looks kind of like a big initiative in the center. Yeah. Although black's a little bit loose, white's a little bit loose on the c file at the moment, courtesy of that pawn to b3.
Sure.
So there's maybe chances for counterplay for sure.
I'd be tempted here to go h3 and then g4.
Because we know h3, of course, cuts out that knight, prevents that knight g4 move as well. So that looks like I would be very tempted to go h3.
And it's useful for us, this knight on here. Oops, if I can do that, defends that knight as well.
Yeah.
But let's see what happened. Bishop g5. So what white's trying to do is swap the bishop for knight and then get the knight d5. That's a very good strategy.
Oh my words. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Good. So there's going to be some tactics coming up here. Okay.
And then knight d5. So nice and lovely outpost.
Lovely square, isn't it? That is maybe not ideal at all.
Well, not ideal for black, maybe, no, but for white,
absolutely,
okay, so knight came to defend the other knight. But now, actually, what black did a good thing. Actually, this knight came to
a good knight of his own. The main difference being that white knight is on, of course, what I would like to call an outpost because he's protected by the pawn on e4, but can't be budged by a black pawn. Whereas that knight on d4 is a great square, but white could still play c2 to c3.
Yeah,
dodge it at some stage.
Although it's not. Yeah, white's going to have to. The trouble for white is white will have to move their knight on c3 again to do that. So I thought I quite like knight d4.
Yeah,
see what happened. Takes, and then one knight replaces the other. That looks good.
That was the way to do it.
And now c3, good. So yeah, nicely played. Knight b5. I quite like that move as well because this knight's such a strong piece. It might be worth just simply challenging it, trying to swap off your knight.
I mean, that is the one good thing. Although white's obviously got a big initiative with space on the king side, at least black could actually take that knight with his own light square bishop at some time, which is something that the white's light square bishop wouldn't be able to do if that black knight found itself on d4. But still, white has that space advantage. Okay. And also, maybe white's thinking of, pawn to f6 at some stage. He's got that little attack on his mind. This is a good quality game, you have to say.
Very good game, yeah. Now, of course, black really doesn't want white to take that because then his king will be open. So g6 is a move that black would like to play and keep it as close as possible. However, of course, if white can now sort of get a queen to this...
Well, this is what happened now, isn't it?
So queen here, simply threatening queen takes h6 and then checkmate. King h7, good defense. Much better defense than pawn to g5, which would leave black in big trouble. For example, the move h4, just opening up the position. So black's trying to avoid making as many moves as possible with his pawns on the king's side.
Okay.
a4, knight c7. Okay, that's a good move. Although white's next move looks good. This is a very nice move. Not exchanging knights, but attacking the rook, and also d6 is now hanging.
Yes.
Let's see what happens. Rook b8. Queen takes d6, winning a pawn. Okay. So white's won a pawn, but the game, the game continues. Yeah, it's obviously good for white now, but black's at least avoided the checkmating possibilities, and the game goes on. Threatening queen takes knight on b6, so knight retreats. Chris, let knight retreat. Which one would you have preferred?
Well, d5 would seem to be make. Oh, is he worried about a little? Is it going to? Oh, is he worried about a check on b6 to lose his b3 pawn? Maybe
he is. But he's got to worry about his rook, of course.
So I think knight d5 in general.
This is the structure that white would prefer. His pawns are very nice now. Queen b6, actually, black's got to worry about the rook being attacked on b8, so he can't quite do that yet. Knight c4 is slightly. Black would prefer this because white's pawns are not quite as healthy, are they, in this position? However, white does remain 2 pawns ahead, so that's obviously quite a significant advantage. This next move I really like, actually.
Whoa, which move did you really like? Queen
to e7.
Oh, that's ironic because normally you'd think it would be white that black would want to keep the pieces on the board and white would want to swap them off. But black saying, fancy a sweet queen swap, and white says, not just yet, thanks. I
think that's really good. Yeah, I mean, I like both these moves. I mean, basically, of course, black is the general thing is if you're sort of down on pawns, you want to keep as many pieces on as possible. However, you have to think about equal swaps. Basically, you don't want to swap off. But rather, in this position, white's queen is a dominant queen. Black's queen is really passive. So it's actually probably quite a good idea from black's point of view to swap those off, because you're swapping off a piece that's just not doing very much for a piece that's really powerful. But what white does, says he's quite happy to swap, but he doesn't want to swap. He doesn't want to swap and allow the knight back into the game. He plays a really clever move, queen e7, and saying, well, you can swap, but that will just leave me with a really strong pawn on e7. Very good move, because black can't. It's very difficult for black to make moves now, isn't it? In this position.
It's probably I agree. Yeah, maybe
he can't actually move his knight because white would take the queen. He can't really move his queen because white will take the rook on f8.
Correct. He can't move the rook because he's of f7 pawn. He could move his other rook, presumably.
Yeah, but white, I guess, next move is going to go rook d1 and attack the queen. So okay, let's move on. Let's see what happens. Takes, and then white wins another pawn.
Interestingly enough, of course, white is up by pawns. He's actually got 5 isolated pawns, hasn't he? Actually,
he has, but I guess he's so many pawns up. That's not. That's another good move. Threatening rook d8.
Oh my
King
word.
f7, rook d8.
How does he deal with that?
I don't think he does. I think that's just winning for white, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so that's
nice game. Very nice, very interesting game.
Very nice, and unfortunately, it's going to be significant. But let's just check: did he keep the exchange up, or did something go? I thought I saw a bishop against a knight in game emerge.
I don't.
It's something. No, he always had an extra rook, didn't he? He always had an extra rook. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, that was very well played by White. What a good game.
Well played, Lizzie Carr. And let's close that and let's move on to let's move on to another game. How are we doing? So we have 45 minutes. So what about some? Let's have a look at this game here. Okay. So this is Imogen Dyson.
Right. Okay, cool.
Who she actually she's playing in the under 12s.
Right.
Oh no, actually, sorry, that's her sister's playing then. Which one's Imogen playing in? Let me have a look.
Imogen. Okay, Imogen is playing in the.
Oh, she's playing in the under 16s.
Yes. Oh,
she is. Yes, we are. Okay, let's carry on. Let's have a look at this game then, shall we?
Okay, Imogen. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, e4. Who's she playing against?
Gold 2205.
Oh, Yensian. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So we've got another
French defense.
Apologies
to those who don't like the French. We've got another blocked position. Okay.
But could be some dynamism going. Bishop e2, rock solid, really. Okay. I normally white plays this.
Let's go to the analysis board so we can make some moves.
Word.
Now in this opening, white normally actually puts the bishop on d3. But of course what white has to be careful about is this pawn comes under severe attack.
Basically, it's usually a pawn sacrifice.
It is, normally white castles now and allows black to take. And black wins a pawn, but white gains some promising play with a lead in development.
Now, what's very interesting here is if we just head back a couple of moves, keep going back to the main position. Normally, the problem is that white can't play knight to b3 to protect d4 because a pawn to c4 is a fork, of course, with that bishop on d3. So white decides, no, I'm going to reach a compromise there by putting my bishop on e2.
So that's actually a very interesting idea because, as Chris, as you said, it does allow white now to support the pawn safely with knight b3.
And this time around, black would not, even though it feels like it comes with the game, the tempo, black doesn't really want to go c4 now because then it will, even after knight moves, that's taken a lot of tension off the white pawn center, and black's not really ready even to do b5, b4 because queen's in the way. So I think that's what a move that white would want. So that's kind of intriguing. I might have to look at this idea myself, actually. Thanks
this is the point. When you make a move like c4, you have to think about sort of like black spent a lot of energy in the opening pressurizing the d4 pawn with his queen moves, and when you make a move like c4, suddenly all of that is gone. So as you said, Chris, that queen is now misplaced on b6, isn't it? Black's natural pawn play would now be b5, b4. And white doesn't have to worry about the center anymore. White can just get on with his development and then start maybe making some attacking ideas on the king's side. So I quite like what black played. He just took and then gave a check. So this is very active play by black. And then this move, f6. So what black's doing is fighting back. He wants to actually challenge the center this way. So he's playing very dynamically with his pieces. And I guess white more or less forced to take that pawn,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and now the knight takes, and then
which opens up a whole new, loads more things. Black's got a half-open f-file, access to e4 for the knight, but giving away the e5 square. White's got the better bishop. There's a lot of middle game themes going on here. Nice little.
But it's kind of, I like that. It's kind of rich in possibilities for both sides, isn't it? Basically,
exactly.
So to be honest with you, this is exactly the sort of position that you should, as a developing player, should be aiming for. But if you whether you've got the white pieces here or the black, it's good enough. As long as you've actually got both sides have got ideas, it means that you've got a good middle game position to sort of like to test your skills, really. Rook c1 is a very good move. Simply putting the rook on the open file. Knight e4, challenging the queen, queen e3, bishop d7. Yeah, that bishop's got to get developed at some stage.
This is just nice chess all round.
It is, bishop d3, challenging the knight.
Looking to dislodge that knight, which hops back to.
I like that move too. Knight d6, and then knight c5, another really good move.
Oh my word! This is,
even though black's played very logically, I like this position for white, actually.
I do, because I love these squares. E5, lovely. And also, don't forget, white does possess the good bishop, and black's got that bad bishop on d7. Unless he can whizzle it around, or black could get e8 to g6 or h5 at some point. I'm not, or b5. But at the moment, white's wreaking havoc with her, should I say her?
But to me, it seems like black's played pretty logically, and yet it's actually in a difficult position here. You feel, So let's just see how the game went. Queen c7, okay, just to defend the bishop. That makes a lot of sense. Knight e5, wow, that looks good, doesn't it? That looks really good. Because black, he doesn't really want to have to take.
No, there's going to be some tactical.
Pawn takes. Isn't there going to be a knight takes e6?
Yeah, there's going to be a knight c4, which needs to lose a pawn.
So black felt obliged to play the move bishop c8 to defend.
Oh, that doesn't.
Okay, all right. But maybe that was simply required, basically.
Okay, required. Yeah.
Rook fe1. Yeah, just continuing with the pressure. Okay. Yeah, looks like a good move. Rook e8. Again, it's not a move black wants to really play.
No, because that was one of black's points, was that half-open f-file. So to have to abandon that is a bit of an admission.
But this just shows the advantage of playing moves, logical moves like Rook e1. If you can force your opponent to make moves they don't want to make, then you really are on top, aren't you?
Yeah.
Rook e8, Queen h3. So obviously a direct threat.
That's threatening h7 now. This is like. So
h6 to prevent that. Queen g4. Okay, so we can definitely say that white's got a big advantage here. I like that move as well, because aren't you coming into g6 with your queen?
You certainly are, and then there's all sorts of checkmatey type threats going on there.
Yeah, knight f5, and this is where the game is. So it's prevented that. This is where the game's.
Is this where they're at the moment?
Yeah, I must admit, doesn't knight take c6 followed by bishop takes f5? Oh, wait, well. close to winning, isn't it?
So knight takes c6. Does that force queen takes c6?
Yeah, because if black takes to the pawn, we simply win the knight because of the pin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it takes the queen, that's going to open up a whole new. But knight takes e6. Is that possible now? I mean, what's going?
I wonder.
Well, no, maybe not. Rook takes e6. But then, oh my
God. Yeah. Then black is possibly just about surviving with some back rank possibilities. Yeah.
So for example, is that more than?
Well, if white takes the rook, he's definitely more than surviving. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just black's up. He's 2 rooks and a knight up, isn't he?
And the dangerous threats like bishop a6. Maybe white can take on f5. Is that
white could take on f5? Yeah, that would be okay. And then then basically we'll just get a position where black's a pawn down. I think this would be, to be honest, I think this would be a good result for black if it reached this. Yeah. If you're able to eliminate so much pressure at the cost of just a pawn, sometimes that's just a very good idea. Should we just go back?
That's it. So
yeah, and let's just, if we go back to that game. We've actually had some
more results.
More moves, yeah. So
more moves.
White took on e6.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Bishop takes, and then the bishop takes. That's a very sensible. White wins.
That's even nicer because then white stays on e5. Very nice.
However, it could have been a lot worse for black. This position, yeah.
I love your optimism, John. That's what I like.
What I'm saying is, I think a couple of moves ago, it's very possible.
Always look on the bright side. So it could have been worse, is what you're basically.
Well, what I'm saying is, a couple of moves ago, it's very possible that white was just going to win with a direct attack and just, win a massive amount of material. If you look to this position, this looks grim, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does look grim. You're right.
So this position we have in the game, bishop takes bishop, I suspect. Yeah.
Yep.
And then queen takes. Oh, we can't, obviously, yeah, okay. That's my guess, by the way, now. My guess is bishop takes f5. We've gone off the live analysis. So let's go back to the actual position. Yeah, so for example, sorry, this is it here. White would take with the queen, and then...
Is there a knight takes d4, or is that completely nuts? Knight takes d4, rook takes c7, knight takes f5. It's still going to be material up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true, but even that is sort of like, you've managed to mix it up a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
Maybe just a move like after queen takes, maybe just a move like rook d8 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, should we move on
to
another game?
Check out one of those? Should we go to the under 14s? Can we do that?
We can go to the under 14s.
What about young James? Is that a possibility? A Nightmare Freddy somewhere with
okay. Nightmare Freddy is James Merriman, and he's playing Demetrius Zakharin. So this is a good battle, isn't it? So so basically both players have so James has got 1.5 out of 2. Demetrius has got 1 out of 2. They're playing on board 2. Let's have a look at the opening, shall we?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So d4, knight f6. Okay. It was Nimzo Indian defense. Very, very popular opening. Very solid, very reliable. So look, most of the top players in the world have played this opening at some stage or another, haven't they? James replies with the e3 variation. Okay, very classical development.
Black just voluntarily takes that. He doesn't even hang around.
That's a surprising move, but slightly surprising move. Bishop takes c3, isn't it?
It seems to me to be a bit weird. And then he follows up with d5 immediately. This is
normally, if we just go back to normally what would happen in this type of position is black would typically stake a claim in the center. Oh, let's go. Sorry, let me go to the live analysis.
Live analysis,
yeah. Okay. Well, even just looking at the actual final position looks interesting, doesn't it? But normally, what would happen in this position is black would play so a move like d5 would be typical. And now white can go knight f3, but white could, for example, I know this is a very popular line. Magnus Carlsen plays this lot. He just chases the bishop now. The point is, after black takes, and black normally does take, white takes back, and white has got the 2 bishops, and of course white can also remove. Oops, let's undo that properly. He can swap off his double pawns as well. In fact, black often takes straight away, and we get this sort of typical structure.
Which it looks like we're going to get in the game, but without white having had to invest the time in a3.
Yeah, it looks like if black takes and takes, what black's done by taking straight away is that black's ensured that white gets the double pawns. But probably what black would do here, if you do that, would be not to play d5 and maybe a move like b6. and try and challenge, try and attack those pawns. Yeah.
Yeah.
By going d5, it does feel like black will probably just get a move. Okay. Yeah, probably what will happen is that we'll get the same sort of position, but white will being a tempo up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And even the a3 square not obstructed by a pawn, you could arguably claim the bishop could use it. So yeah. Oh well, we'll keep going.
Another option for white here is actually to take himself and choose a different formation, where you are sort of like going for this pawn advance in the center. That's another option. Very, very popular option.
Yeah, again with access to the a3 square, that seems like that's a real bonus as well. So
yeah, okay, Benya, let's see what happened. Takes b6. That's a very sensible move, isn't it? Putting the bishop on that long diagonal. Here, rook e1. Okay, white's trying to go for e4. Probably have to drop the bishop back to achieve that. Knight e4. The knight comes into it. Okay, typical Nimzo play, isn't it? Putting your pieces into the middle of the board rather than occupying the center with pawns.
I might, I don't know, that rook e1 move, I might have taken up of it. He really, if he's got to get an e4, otherwise the rook e1's a waste of time for me in actual fact, isn't it? So I'm not so sure about that move, to be honest. If
what would you consider?
Well, I'm just wondering whether if he's going to put a knight on e5 at some stage, he could go knight e5 and f4 or something, as if he's going to do that.
Yeah, that's another possibility for white. Yeah. And f4, or indeed knight e5 followed by f3 and e4 if you want.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, to blunt that. But anyway, well, obviously he's confident he's going to
get rookie ones. Another move you could play, I guess, is bishop d3.
Bishop d3.
Yeah, because once you, this is actually quite an important point actually, because once you realise your bishop's not on a great diagonal, this kind of is blunted by those pawns. There's no harm in just moving it straight away to a better diagonal. We know that our bishop's not going to be great there, so bishop d3, just with the idea of, for example, challenging for e4 basically.
E4, yeah.
Okay, so rook e1 happened. Knight e4.
Yep.
Queen c2. Okay, so bishop d3 might come anyway. c5. Bishop d3. f5.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is all natural stuff. Because actually, basically, I like f5. It's the logic. If you want to put a knight on e4, you've committed. You really have to try and keep that knight on e4. There's no point in moving it back now.
Yeah.
So f5 is a good move.
In fact, I'm guessing that if white tried to go dislodge it with knight d2, maybe black should even then play a move like queen h4 to... Have I done my maths right? Yeah, queen h4.
Yeah, queen h4 is a clever move, yeah. Yeah, you've done your maths right, yeah.
I just, when you haven't played that, you need to add up.
Yeah, the major crucial tactic in chess, and it's called counting.
That's why, Junior. That's why it's always good to pay attention at school.
Yeah. So black's defending the knight 3 times now, and it's attacked 3 times. Yeah. This is quite complicated because white could go g3 here, and
yeah, they could actually.
Yeah.
Queen,
and then try and just win that pawn. Yeah. Okay.
Could be no. Oh yeah. Oh crumbs. Yeah, it's quite. Yeah.
Well, in the Nimzo there is a particular tactic for black here, but you need the rook on f1 for it to work. You can play this move knight g5.
Yeah, that's very nice.
That
checkmate.
Would be checkmate. But unfortunately, here white's gone rook e1. James is rook e1. Good move, because now he's got king f1 to stop.
So okay. So then why didn't he go through with knight d2? That would have been the logical follow up then.
Yeah. Also, obviously, the other option for white is this move here. Just the idea of going f3.
F3. That's why I wanted that move.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Bishop b2.
There. Knight here, and now knight d2 did happen. Yeah, that's a good move. Takes.
Oh, okay.
Takes queen g5, threatening mate. Yeah, good. Again, a good move. And now white
can't go pawn to f3 because a bishop takes f3. Yeah, we would have liked to have blunted that diagonal ideally.
So f4 happened instead. Queen g6.
Problem with that f4 move is now black could potentially got control of that e4 square.
Nice bishop now, yeah. So we'll have to see c4. Okay, yeah, opening up that bishop. So it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be a heavyweight battle, strategic battle. Black's pieces are nice. It's true, these pieces are nice, aren't they? Yeah.
I think so.
White has to make a decision now about whether to keep that pawn or whether to swap, whether to maybe do some tactical ideas with d5 maybe at some moment. Yeah,
yeah.
That looks quite interesting. But shall we come back to that game?
Yeah, okay, sure.
And let's have a look at
under 18s. We haven't done any under 18s.
No, okay.
What about the top board at the under 18s? Let's go. Let's drop ourselves at the deep end, the highest age group.
Yes. So let me follow. Under 18s. Oh yeah, no. We've got who we got here.
What about Jonathan Mackay against? Is that possible?
Yes.
Or Dandy-tastic. Go for
him. We're looking for Dandy-tastic on our list.
There, the top. Is he the top? He's the top.
Oh yeah, there he is. Yes. Wow. Yeah. This looks interesting. Let's start from the beginning, and then let's go immediately to the live analysis. Oh, not another French. Chris, you keep directing me to French defensive games.
Well, I didn't know, did I? I mean, still blame me. Right.
Actually, the good news. This is a different one. White's taken. So it's the exchange.
This is the good news that we've got an exchange French.
Yeah, I never thought I'd say that. This is the good news. We've got an exchange for us. But the good news is it's a different pawn structure. Okay. So it's a lot more open. Bishop d3, bishop d6, queen e2 check. Okay, normally white would castle, but yeah, queen e2 check. I guess the point is if black plays bishop e7, you're forcing the bishop to retreat again, aren't you?
Yes.
And the bishop's not on quite a good square.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess if queen e7, maybe white would just swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't sound that enthralled, Chris.
No, it's not a thriller, is it? To be honest.
Bishop e6 is definitely the most challenging move, keeping pieces on.
I mean, if white wants to go knight g5,
that's certainly possible, isn't it? Yeah.
A castle. Yeah. I think we can just sack that pawn or something. Probably.
Possibly, yeah. So c4 happened. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's bishop b4 check. So I quite like that move, even though it gives the bishop moving the bishop twice. That check forces white to block with a piece.
Yeah, and then yeah,
looks reasonable. I mean, if black certainly would have the option here. I mean, I would just
take on c4.
Yeah, exactly. Or indeed a move like knight c6 would be reasonable as well.
Yeah.
c6 is okay, very solid. It's probably not absolutely required because black's got so much protection on d5 anyway. But the game got quite exciting because after knight g5, black played this move, and then the game got really.
Oh my god!
Flame because white played this move, bishop takes h7 check, which is certainly a possibility because now the knight on f6 is overworked, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, knight takes, queen takes g4. So he's played king h8. So he seems to be.
I think actually something's and then obviously this move f3. Yeah.
Now, wow. Okay. Okay. All right. This is. What's going on here? So now he's got to deal with the bishop.
I think intuitively, this just actually feels like it's very good for white. Yeah.
Yeah, because even though the rook can, hassle the queen on the e4, then it might come over to h4. So that's not really ideal, is it?
Yeah.
No. Okay, let's see a few more moves, basically.
Yep. So probably bishop g4 was a mistake on move 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So bishop c8.
Well, again, I hate to tell you, but it is a case to look out for checks, isn't it, John? After bishop g4, you'd always consider bishop takes h7
sure.
check.
It's a running theme, isn't it? Yeah.
Bishop
bishop d3, and it looks like white's just won a big. Oh, mind you, you haven't said that. Black that does give black the option of actually taking here and then taking with the queen check to regain the pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, true. But then maybe bishop e3 and f7 is going to be hanging as well.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, not great. Whatever. Yeah,
it's not great, is it? Yeah.
So g6. It's basically black's going to have to try and survive the next few moves. King g7. This is actually probably quite a good idea.
Going for a bit of play, going for a bit of action.
Well, mainly I think it just makes the king a lot safer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Bishop d2 and then
and then bishop d2. If black can just survive the next few moves, he gets back in the game. For example.
Well, he's played bishop c7. He's pointing at a reason.
Yeah, I quite like that move. I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, the white knight on f3 might. Oh, okay, it doesn't have to move. I
think this is okay. White's definitely still better here, but I think this is not looking so bad for black now. I mean, I'm not even sure about this c5 move. Maybe white should have tried to open it up as quickly as possible while black was consolidating.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
a lot to go in that game. So
good.
Right. So we were looking at under 18s. Is there any others that we could look at there?
So what we've got? What about
do we have Sef D007?
Yeah, that's on board 2. That's on board 1, 2 of the under 18s. That's Savin.
Yeah, Savin Diaz. Yeah, I don't have it on my list.
Oh.
Yeah, so we will. I think this list. I think we'll have to go through these games.
I think the problem with the under 18s in this particular round, it did seem to be, other than this board 1 tussle, which looked fairly close, the others were higher rated against lower rated. I think by significant.
Let's have a look at some of the.
What's that? Is that Schlock playing?
Yeah, this is Schlock against Dennis Dupuy. Yeah.
Oh wow,
so 2 Kent Juniors. Let's have a look.
But should we just look at this position from now? Let's just look at this position. So how do we assess this? So basically, I would say white has got a bishop for a knight, but black's got a nice centre pawn on d5 and therefore a foothold on the e4 square possibly for his knight. That's just my initial kind of thoughts on this situation.
Yeah, I would say the chances are roughly level. Actually, white's just played the move queen from c4. Oh no, black's just put on knight from d6 to from
where's
c4.
Where's that knight come from? Actually, it's from
c4.
Yeah. d6.
Yeah.
So if you were forced, John, there's no sitting on the fence. I think I would choose black here. I think slightly. What would be your thoughts?
I think it's really difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to say. I quite like f3, that move, just stopping knight e4,
controlling the e4
and lengthening the bishop's diagonal as well.
It's about equal, isn't it?
It really is about equal. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, actually, rather than rather than looking at how these things happen, maybe we should just look at some positions from games.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go through. Yeah.
So let's have a look at this next game here, which is Lego Children. I think this is the under.
Lego Children. I'm going to.
Yeah. Sorry, we've got
Lego Children. This is under 12. This is
this is the under 12. This is Harry Zheng has got the black pieces against Kumar. So okay, both players have got 1.5 out of 2. Right.
Whoa, wow. What's going on here?
Now, this is a really complicated game. So black's just made the move knight from c5 to e6.
Attacking that bishop on g5 over there now.
Yeah, I'm just going to look at the black.
Instead of moving his attack, presumably that.
Wow, I'm just going to go back a couple of moves actually. So this position of queen f3.
Right.
Okay. In this position, black played a very nice tactic. It's very difficult to spot. Played the move knight takes d5.
Well, because that knight is hanging on h4.
Yeah, it's always not easy to see those like very long distance sort of horizontal attacks. So that's a very clever move. And white replied by going bishop g5, which does defend the knight. So white's now threatening to take on d5. But instead of retreating the knight, which could, I guess, gone to c7.
That was one complicated move.
Yeah, albeit if the knight did retreat to c7, maybe he's a bit worried about some, white's pieces are looming around the black's king. So instead he's played this move knight e6, which is a move it's a very nice move that black wants to play anyway, because the knight's really well placed on e6.
And it can come to d4 as well.
Yeah, it attacks the knight. It controls some, protects the king. And this is where we leave it. So, white's actually having a think about this move. He's actually both players have been spending quite a bit of time because they're on move 30, but white
so this is it. They're using their time well, but you could argue maybe too well if they get too short in time. But that's
I think it's such a complicated position. It seems like it's been for a long time that
you have no choice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously black. It feels like black's just doing well because black is 2 pawns up.
I think so. That knight takes d5. That had that in. Oh, he's played bishop h6. It incurred. There was so much involved in that knight takes d5 because white could have attacked the queen, and the queen has to stay on that 4th rank or 5th rank.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
quite complex. But okay, but let's see bishop h6.
No, I like that move. I mean, I think white's big chance in this game is to somehow do something on the king's side. So, for example, maybe he's going to do a move like knight f5 and just throw all his pieces into the attack. Knight d4 is a very good move as well, though. That's
So ideally, we'd like to go Queen f6, but that black knight on d5.
yeah, that throws a bit of cold water on White's attack. That Knight d4.
Yeah, what is that? Is he going to go with his queen now? He's going to have to go. There's not that many safe squares, even, is there? What's available? Well, d3, D1's just a swap, and D1's going to be.
You don't want to go D1.
God, you don't want to go to D. It's got to. Is it D3?
He's probably going to have to go to D3. Yeah. But then maybe Black will go Knight F4.
He's gone to D3.
Yeah, maybe Black will go Knight F4 now, or Knight B4.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. So it feels like this looks good for Black, but White's definitely got some sort of practical chances if Black goes wrong, simply because he's got, he has the Black's king side's a bit weak.
Yeah.
Black's actually only one pawn up actually in this position. The H6 pawn.
Yes.
H6 pawn's gone. H7 pawn's gone. Okay, shall we? There's a game here that's finished.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, this is a win for White.
Town Madness.
Frankie GM. So this is in the under-16s. This is Frankie Berlusconi against Neo Shershan. And wow, if actually we didn't. He's replaying the game for us. We didn't really want that. Let's go to
He's playing through.
Yeah, let's get to live analysis.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that was very nice.
It's still actually doing it for us, which is not kind of what we want, is it? It's kind of stuck here now. So we need to. Maybe we'll just come. Should we come back to that game?
Yeah, come back to that game.
Yeah, and have a look at. Yeah. Let's have a look at this game here, which is going on. So this is which tournament is this? Bond Agent against Pal Rowan. Okay, this is Rowan Pal. Yeah, so this is Shriyan Koporovi. Right. This is in the under 12s, basically.
Yeah. So he's had to play G3 to block a check. So Black's a pawn up, and he's got a bishop for a knight in an endgame, but the queens are on, and of course when the
he's a rook
up. Oh, he's a rook up. That's also worth it. I think we can rule this one out. To be honest, John, I'm pretty confident this is looking good for Black, particularly as that queen move attacks the knight, and there's a pin to a checkmate threat on H1.
Yeah.
So,
So all right.
Yeah. It's always good to count the rooks. We have made that mistake before doing the pieces, so I have to be very careful, John. Just the one, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to this game here, which looks quite tight.
Oh.
So this is the under 12s. This is Ellis Dyson, who actually she won the under 12s Blitz Championship. Right. And she's playing.
Is that a sister? Is that the sister of?
That's the sister of Imogen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She's playing Avkut Das Gupta.
Okay.
Yeah. Night Slasher 2020.
Oh wow. Okay. So we have White.
So we have a queen endgame,
which down.
Black's a pawn up. Black. Okay, but White's obviously White's queen's buzzing around, quite active.
Oh. So White's going to have to do a bit of grovelling in this game, I suspect, John, though, because you can't win a pawn instantly as far as I can make out, like Queen C7. Yeah, so Queen C7 would have been Queen E7. And, yeah.
Okay. So if we go back to live analysis.
Yeah.
This position. Yeah, it's obviously looking quite good for Black. So maybe Queen G5 happened. Obviously, Black could start making some checks. I mean, maybe Queen.
Well, that's the one good thing from White. White accepts, I'm a pawn down. I'm trying to get the draw. So just checks alone aren't going to do it. Whereas if it was on the other foot, then of course Black trying to win would have to avoid checks forever, of course, which White doesn't have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm giving some checks here. Now, White, if White wants to keep the A2 pawn, it has to move the king back to B1. Unfortunately, if you do that, we start checking here. We actually win this pawn instead.
Yeah, which is worse. Then the queen's very well placed on C.
Exactly. So
let the
good news from White's point of view, basically anyone's, when you're trying to defend the queen ending, there are so many possibilities of perpetual checks. So if Black actually goes off this pawn, it's very possible now that White
check. Queen 8. Yeah, one of those two. Yeah, Queen.
It's very possible that White might have some type of perpetual check.
Yeah.
Simply check. Yeah. For example, King here, then we go Queen here. And
the other thing I find, John, I mean, this is just me, in almost end games, right? It's all about, if you can be a pawn up, swap off. But actually, even if you took on H7 in that last one there, in that last position there, suddenly a passed pawn of your own, at some stage over there or previously, that's kind of dangerous because then we end up in some sort of little race thing, which is. Or even you could have taken H7
exactly.
before.
Yeah, so basically, sometimes it doesn't actually matter how many pawns you've
How
got.
many pawns? It's just who's got the most dangerous pawn rather
Exactly,
than the amount.
Yeah. So, for example, if this was a rook endgame, you would probably still fancy black's chances being a pawn up.
Because there's two connected, I'm not sure. But you know what I mean? Even if it was just
Yeah.
one, in a rook endgame, you definitely fancy the
Yeah.
majority pawns. But 4 against 1 is a
But here you kind of think that, well, it's still incredibly complicated, but you kind of think that if black's not careful, he could even lose, even though he's a pawn up.
Yeah.
And, black would be starting to think, is it the safest option just to start doing perpetual check? So you can be quite a few. You could even be 2 or 3 pawns down in a queen ending. But if you've got a passed pawn that's close to promotion, the chances are that you've got at least a draw because your opponent. The main thing is that you can support that pawn's promotion simply with your queen, even against another queen. Whereas with rooks, you can't. You tend to.
Yeah, you get a rook behind a passed pawn, and then you're stuck basically. Then aren't you really almost?
Okay, let's look at some other games. Let's look at this game here, which is
Dylan.
Yeah, this is Shora Mehta against Shivam Agrawal. This is in the under 14s, board 3.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It seems black's up by the exchange in this.
Yeah, and a pawn.
And a pawn. It's not looking good. So the only decision that black really needs to make around about here is: do I castle or do I just go king e7? Is that a fair call, really?
Yeah, Chris, what would you do in this position?
Well,
castle or king e7.
Oh man,
you can't think about it. You have to say now.
Right, I'm going king e7.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I mean, if the material was more level or I wasn't exchange up just a pawn, I'd definitely go king e7. When you're the exchange up, you have to think, I could do either, really.
But yeah, the point is in this position, actually, when you say you could do either, the reason you can do either is that you've got such an overwhelming position, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But if you're trying to always play the best moves in chess, then you should draw. Well, you should always try and do that. Now, the point is, what you should think about with your king is that, obviously, first of all, how active it's going to be in the end game, but secondly, how safe it is. And moving your king to e7 is actually very safe here. Why, Chris? Why would you say the king on e7 is very safe?
Well, because there's no checks from the dark square, but that's why you'd, by the way, automatically move it to a dark square here, so you're not falling for. Because some people say, why not king d7? But king e7 is nicely, safely tucked behind your e6 pawn, no problems along the e file, and there's no diagonals because that white bishop is on a1, not coming out anywhere anytime soon.
Sure.
So
we know, and in fact, in fact, he did play it. Well done. Yeah, good move. We know that, in fact, that white bishop's just going to be exchanged on c3.
Yeah.
So king e7, yeah, quite. The king is perfectly safe because not only is it on a dark square, but also the e file is blocked by that pawn on e6, so white can't attack it at all. Also, a nice move. It's very going back to this sort of like exchanging when you're up. Again, that's always a good idea, but black's realized that just keep that bishop there. It's going to be exchanged. I want to exchange them on my terms. So rather than allowing white's rook to get to the a file, which could on another day, probably not here, it's not going to make much difference, but on another day that could be annoying for black. He's just letting them say, well, white, if white takes, then we'll take with the pawn maybe and get a protected pass pawn.
Yes.
Or possibly a rook, actually. And
well, this is what we had. So let's just play a couple more moves. King e7, bishop c4 has occurred, and
then he has taken. I like bishop c4 because actually that forces, because white's now threatened to win a pawn, so that does force the exchange.
Yeah.
And that's the best that white could hope for, because at least now his rook is on the a file and he can try and make things as difficult as possible.
Now, I think it's probably worth pointing out that white's only hope is to keep that rook on the board. He's got to keep his solitary rook on the board here, otherwise it's curtains. So a simple winning plan for black would be just to swap that rook off, but of course white isn't going to be, or should not be, so obliging basically. So, but I hate to say it's just still looking very good for black. It's just a little bit fidgety. But not too great. He's got to activate his rooks, of course, at some stage. Yep.
Okay.
I would imagine black's going to convert this. That's what I would feel.
Well,
but
maybe we'll come back to that in a little bit and see how if he does. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Alex Royal against Manis Sandhu. Now this one, if I look at these, this is in the under 14s. Both players have got one point. Right. We've got a technical bishop endgame.
Okay.
It looks right. It's obviously equal material. Black's just gone king d8.
Right. Okay. So there's two obvious features I would highlight here, John. This is what I would say. First of all, although black has an isolated pawns are best exploited by rooks, really. So that's not such a big deal. There's two things. I like the fact that black has got their pawns on black squares, which is the opposite color from their bishop. That's what you usually, but yeah, particularly the fixed ones, of course, on that. But on the other hand, the white king is slightly more centralized. So white's got the more active king, but black's got kind of the better bishop, I would argue, because of those white pawns on the king side are fixed on white squares.
Yes, for example, maybe not now, but at some moment, the bishop could actually start attacking those the fixed pawn, especially the h3 pawn. But I guess black in this position, then the key thing is like this: is the principle in endgames is king first. So black should get the king into a better position first, just to safeguard that pawn on e5. If nothing else, for example, if bishop d5, now white definitely has got this idea of taking that pawn, so black should go king e7, and then probably either d6 or f6 to defend it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move. That looks like it's like a slow burner, that game.
It's going to be
apart from the time. So let's have a look at Whimsical Jam.
Yeah.
Against Satyam Kumar. Which tournament is this? This is the under 16s. This is.
Is there the senior event going?
There is. We need to do that. Yes, that's next on the list. Yeah, we're just basically going down the list of games actually.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Whimsical Jam is higher rate, and she's playing Adita Pai. What's going on here?
Right. So hang on. So
White's just made the move Queen D3.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do some counting. So white is actually up by a pawn, right? Anna's got two passed connected queenside pawns. But on the other hand, that is the side of the board where the king is. And oh my word, you've got to be aware of some sort of rook takes a4 check. Not possible here, of course. Sacrifice that could expose that white king and end up in a checkmate on b2 or something like that.
Well, yeah, I might just go to some analysis here. So white just moved the queen back to d3. It looks good. The position does look quite good for white, I have to say. The king's actually, I mean, it feels quite safe at the moment. But as you mentioned, Chris, if black were to move like rook a8 now, and if white were to be negligent, rook takes a4 would be a possibility, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
just breaking over thing. For example, if white were to play a
g3 or something,
yeah, g3, then we would just take that pawn. And yeah, this is obviously exactly what black wants, a nice little checkmate there. However, it's obviously not as easy as all that. Because for example, after rook
c3 pawn, of course.
Yeah, and of course, once you actually get rid of that pawn, then sacrifices aren't going to work, are they? In this position,
no.
Probably we can just take it, actually, can't we? And then block with the queen.
Yeah, that's definitely right.
Yeah. So black has to be.
Oh, hang on, that's not right. Queen c4 check.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thanks for pulling me up on that. Yeah. So actually, what was that? That was takes and then.
Oh, but you can go king b2, can't you? And put the king on. Oh, but then queen b5 check.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there are more tactics than we thought.
Yeah.
So does that work? Rook a8. Wow. Is that right? So that is right.
It's true that white, I suppose what white could do actually is to go king b2 and say my king's actually quite safe now, and I'm threatening now to actually take your rook, which gives me a time to consolidate. Because black wants to double rooks, but if you do it, I guess white probably could take. Interesting. It's maybe, yeah. Okay. So rook a8 is a possibility for black there.
Certainly is, because at least the f5 pawn will be hanging.
I mean, the other option for black would be make a move like rook c5.
Yeah, to pave the way for the other rook to go there. That's very logical, isn't it?
You kind of get the impression if white plays this correctly. I mean, just a move like Queen E4 is might be a bit of a killjoy, mightn't it? As far as black's concerned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
So it looks probably quite good for white there, but black's definitely got some chances.
How are we doing in the time situation in that game? Is there because we could consider time at some point, obviously, for sure, couldn't we?
Yeah. Sorry, I've gone back to the wrong game. We were in the game.
Oh well, now we're at the Nightmare Freddy. We could just do a quick update of the Nightmare Freddy game, and then yeah. But the other one, you're right, it's going to go on for a while, and some of them will start ending.
This game here, we left it after C4, knight F6. So we had this
takes.
And then he basically decides to swap that bishop off.
He's bailed out. He didn't want that knight coming anywhere too dangerous.
And then rook B1 is a logical choice.
Mind you, that's interesting because black took on F6 with the rook. But if he doesn't get anything going on H and G files, then that rook might be out of position over there.
Possibly, yeah. And then rook F7.
F7 and then rook B5. So he's attacking some pawns. Okay.
Rook B7's a good move. Making a nasty pin.
But Queen E2, because if he takes on D3, well, why can't he take on?
He can take on G2, actually, yeah.
He can take on G2, yeah. So if he takes on D3, takes on B7. So then we'll end up taking on C5. We'll get a rook and pawn endgame.
Oh, okay.
Should be.
One thing I thought that white might try and do is bring the bishop back to F1. It's a bit too late now to do that, isn't it? Just to nullify, just to sort of stop any threats on G2.
Yeah, I guess.
But here, rook D8. So now that looks, to be honest, that looks like a good move, doesn't it? Because we can't move the bishop because of rook D2.
That's right, yeah.
Rook E B1, but now we're in. Oh, okay. Wow. This looks very promising for black, actually, as far as I can see.
Oh my word! This has gone terribly pear-shaped for white.
Well,
let's think this through. Hang on. So if we go rook B8, then he can go rook. No, he can't. He can go rook takes D3. Then can he? Or hang on, is that rook takes A8? Oh my word! This is going to get.
Yeah, that's interesting. So if we go
rook
to
B8, we need analysis board again. Just when we said we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
rook
here.
B8.
So basically, white's happy if the rooks are exchanged. In fact, he'd actually win the bishop. Okay. I guess black's got.
He could take on G2. He could take on G2.
Yeah, white doesn't actually have any threats in this position. So black could, for example, take on G2. Bishop takes G2. And then, to be honest with you, white should probably bail out into an ending, I'd have thought.
Yeah. Well, which one do we take on?
Well, bishop takes F5. So think about that. I mean, there's lots of different possibilities here.
Bishop takes F5.
Yeah. But let's have a look at this one first.
Oh my word!
This one is a definite advantage for black in this position. However, there's still a lot of work to do. Yeah. Pawn up in an ending.
Maybe King F3 rather than
King F3
instead of rook takes rook last go probably, because doesn't that help? That gives him at least he can't move his rook when they're useful.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a slight advantage to black being a pawn up, but white's
looks like he's going to win the pawn. Maybe he might.
Exactly.
I'm not sure on C5.
So bishop takes G2 is an okay move. Certainly wins a pawn. The endgame would be slightly better for black, but white's not doing too badly. The other options for black.
Queen takes G2.
Queen takes G2 is going to be very similar to rook takes, I guess, to bishop takes.
Does it cut out the bishop F5 little line that I don't know. But maybe it doesn't. Can you go bishop F5?
Bishop F5 is probably quite a good move here.
Yeah, good move here. Yeah.
A desperado, it's called, isn't it? Where you're going to lose a piece, but you make sure you get as much from it as possible.
For it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't see anything better for black now than just doing pawn takes bishop. Do you?
No, which case that's fine.
King takes, and then this. I mean, to be honest, this white could even be slightly better here in this position. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Better than blacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So so I think rook b8 is probably what white needs to do. Oh, rook takes d3. Okay, this is a key thing position as well, isn't it? Yeah.
So what? Rook takes a8.
Yeah, we have this move. Rook takes a8. Yeah.
White could end up being a little bit better there again, could he not?
That holds everything together, doesn't it? because if we're threatening. Well, I suppose white's not actually threatening anything huge, but certainly is just queen takes rook, I guess, would be yeah. So I don't really see much better for black than just, I don't know, just just swapping rooks or something.
Yeah. Takes, and then white's slight initiative.
Yeah, white's got slow because black no longer has
the open files, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no pressure against G2 now. Once the white wants those bishops to be exchanged, really. Yeah. So
yeah, that would be uncomfortable for black.
So probably rook b8 is the move that white has to play. I don't really see another move. Do you?
No, has he? I wonder, has he moved there yet? I wonder how.
We can go to the actual game.
Back to the. Oh dear! Wait.
Bishop c2, rook d2. Now this looks good for black. I don't, unless there's something I've missed. This just looks winning for black. Yeah. Rook b8 happens now, but oh my words! No, just surely rook takes e2 here.
Is this what happened?
Yeah, this is the game. We're seeing the game live as it happens.
Rook takes e2, rook takes d8, king f7, unless we're missing something obvious.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. Do you?
No, I don't. No, it just looks good for black. King f7. There's no check on b7. So white's going to have to stop the mate on g.
Well, there's definitely quite a lot of things attacking g2.
Yeah, looks good for black, doesn't it? Yeah. Should we go to another game?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Shall we have a look at the let's have a look at a game in the seniors. This is in the
okay.
Let me just. This is in the over 65s.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Ian Calvert.
And we got another
George Green.
We got another queen and pawn end game.
Oh my word! Another queen and pawn ending. Wow.
No, it's going to be a draw. I think this one's definitely. It's not a pawn advantage. Both kings are kind of equally. Surely this is going to be a draw.
Yeah, you mean it's going to be check city, isn't it? Basically,
could be check city if you're banned.
Both kings are open, aren't they? That's
if you go on an away day with your own queen, there's going to be loads of checks coming.
Having said that, let's just have let's briefly look at what might happen. I mean, for example, let's say white goes for it, queen here. Is black going to do check?
Queen d3 checks.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah. So white can't really go for it. Obviously, white's hoping for a nice.
Skewers will always be nice at this level. Any level, they're good skewers, of course.
Yeah. So it feels like, what does white actually do? I mean, he could obviously swap off to a pawn ending, but you get the impression that black with that slightly more space would actually be better. That's a risky decision, I'd have thought, queen c4.
Well, how can white even win that position? Actually?
Oh, no, he's not trying to win, I wouldn't have thought. He's just...
So therefore, you wouldn't do it, would you, really?
No, you wouldn't. It's a risky strategic decision. It's better... If you want to draw, it's better to keep the queens on the board. I mean, he's got to be careful he doesn't just lose that pawn, yeah?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and the pawn structure on the king side gives black more possibilities simply because the pawns are further advanced.
In fact, that would be a nightmare one to even consider. Yeah, it's not even what you want to think, because basically black can go king d6 to c6 to b7 to a6. And the only way white can deal with that is to meet king a6 with king a4, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah, and white's in time.
You'd have had to do all the calculations on wasting pawn moves on the other side of the board, wouldn't you?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Let's just have a quick look at that. Yeah. Here, so white's got to do this. This is definitely not a good practical decision for white, because obviously black's not forced to do this, and yet you still have to make sure that in this position that you're not going to run out of pawn moves. Having said that,
G5. Yeah, obviously either side could run out of pawn moves.
Yeah, either side could run out of pawn moves. So
is it a mutual Zugzwang type scenario?
Yeah. The problem is that in this position for white, he can't move his king.
Yeah, so he's gonna.
Although,
where does he go? If G4, F4, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and this is where you get this is where the point of basically pawns being further up just simply helps black, because now white's got no waiting moves, and if you take, you're gonna have to move your king back. And
the little guy's gonna promote, and even F3. Yeah.
Well, definitely F3. Otherwise, black would lose, I guess, if you took on E3.
Well, yeah.
F3 actually wins by promoting. So, so that would be a big problem for black. I mean, if we just go back to that position after G5, white would do a move like G3 instead, and then H5, and then
or G4, G4 as well. Then by black.
Yeah, and now white runs out of moves. I guess the only question is that if you actually can black actually win this? It's still not completely clear, I guess, is it?
King. No, you're right. Maybe he can't actually.
No, that'd be a lucky escape for white. Even though black's a pawn up, it's maybe possible you can't actually make any progress here. That's a problem with having a rook pawn. Anyway, that's probably. I mean, even so, that white shouldn't be.
So you've had to do all that calculation just to realise you can get a draw that way. It seems a bit extreme.
I guess white does have to make moves, but maybe the best thing for white to do is just shuffle your queen backwards and forwards.
Yeah, this is. I mean, actually, this is quite an interesting one. I mean, would you be tempted? You could be tempted to play a move like f4 or something here, couldn't you? Presumably?
Yes, that's true, and ask your opponent. Yeah,
because if you're going to keep the queens on the board, you don't have to worry so much about an outside pass.
Exactly.
Pawn, do you?
And what you're doing here is also exactly. You're basically, if your opponent doesn't take on pawn, it's very useful to have that square for your queen for a check, isn't it? Very useful. And of course, pawn endings now might well favour black because the possibility of creating an outside pass pawn. He's got more outside pass pawns than white. But of course,
But of course, black doesn't have that d3 square now, so queen g7 does become a serious.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So maybe f4 would be a good move. In fact, I think if we go back, they've actually agreed a draw.
Oh well, so we're looking at, they could be following our analysis.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
what actually happened was white did go for the queen g7 idea, which if it does force black to give a draw, then maybe that's just the easiest way for white to draw anyway.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Let's close that game to bring up some
what about another game and that of it? Did I notice Bogdan's playing in one of these? So
he is. Yeah, let's try and actually, it's been quite a few games that have finished now. So let's just remove some of those.
Yeah.
Let's just close that game.
On the top board, Chris Duncan.
Here we go. B unit. Jeff Lawton against Bogdan Lalic. International Master Jeff Lawton against Grandmaster Bogdan Lalic. This is in the over 50s, board 1. Right,
and Bogdan's got the white pieces there.
He has, yes.
Oh my word! 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But black's got rooks normally like to be behind pass pawn. Something's happened there.
I'm just trying to think how to switch the board, but never mind. We'll keep it with black on the bottom.
Oh but like you say, that pawn, that rook on A8 could hardly be more passive, could it?
Yeah.
Doing one job only.
Okay, so black's a pawn up, but white's got tremendous compensation.
Oh my word, this is. Yeah.
Having said that, it's not easy for white to actually break through, is it?
Not there, but he could maybe win elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't. Don't forget, he's not even deployed his king. So what was the last move? Rook F1. Yeah. So if the rook
swap up the rooks.
Yeah, and then his king could sort of saunter up to E3, couldn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Black basically just has to sit and defend. It's not looking good, is it?
Don't see what black can do because he can't move his bishop because of the C7 pawn.
Can he risk putting his king on E5?
Well, he could do, but you know what I was thinking? Oh yeah, maybe.
I mean, basically, you kind of think that if white can just go king F2, king E3, king takes pawn, that surely white would be able
to. And don't forget white's lights. Yeah, okay. At least he could do that because he could meet king E3, bishop G5 check, an away day check just to return back to say D8 next go. So maybe you're right. So king F2, king F6, king E3.
Yeah, it's black's turn now, so we could obviously go. I don't see any point in hanging around. Can we just go king F6 now?
Yeah.
Or has white got
slightly concerned about tactics along that line there, but maybe there's no immediate tactic.
I mean, our bishop defends on knight, so if D6, we can just probably take it, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm hoping. And then go... we can't go
king knight F7 check.
F7, yeah. So we simply have to do something else with our king.
But
then the knight takes the pawn, which is a bit of a pain for black.
Yeah, the knight takes the pawn, yeah.
Black does have knight C8 once the knight takes the pawn. So if we just move the king somewhere, tentatively.
Right. Knights, yeah, okay. So he's doing a lot of groveling there. So
Yeah,
knight, so you want to
knight,
go knight e4, knight c8. You want?
Yeah, I just want to take your a7 pawn.
Right. Okay. So the c5 pawn is on pre, and I have got to move to cause some damage.
Sure, but I mean, if I can swap the c5.
So I could maybe I could go like rook h6 and do a little switch.
Sure.
Oh, but hang on, what are we talking? Yeah, but then okay, but then we're running out of pawns. So there's the more pawns black can get off, the more chance he might.
It is. To be honest with you, of course, this is still looking really good for white. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, on a.
He's losing the c5 pawn as well now, isn't he?
Yeah.
But the h pawn is the wrong color pawn. So
I think this is yeah.
Oh my word.
Black can try and make it difficult for white. Yeah, we need to swap off our bishop and knight for the knight and c pawn. Yeah.
That would be quite a technical. There could be a lot of jiggery pokery going around there, couldn't there?
Yeah.
It's not
okay.
Yeah. So
it's looking good for B unit there.
B unit, yeah. So the main man Bogdan seems to be doing quite well. What about Chris? Is Chris Duncan on board one there? Is that Russell White against Chris Duncan?
Yes, I did. I was following Chris. Let me just get some games.
He's a drunken knight, all one.
Yeah, let's just close that. We saw close that game because we saw that finished or more or less finished. And let's just have a look. Oh, we've got some analysis boards we need to close as well. Sorry, let me just get rid of these so we can.
No worries. Let me just I'll check if we've got any messages. People like talking about Keith. Keith is a very popular person to talk about, but I don't know.
Yeah, Keith is Keith Arkle. You're talking about?
Yeah, people like to talk about Keith. Is he doing so? What's he doing?
He's not. He's. I guess he'll be playing in the British Championship this evening at 7 o'clock.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Even when he's not here, even when he's not playing, people.
Yeah, of course. I think he. I didn't actually see what happened in the game yesterday against Mickey Adams. I think they drew as far as I remember.
Okay.
So I think they've both got 4 out of 5.
I think we're on tomorrow, aren't we, John? Commentating on that event.
We are on the on the women's championship tomorrow.
Oh, the women's tomorrow, yes.
1 p.m. Let me just follow Chris Duncan, who is Drunken Knight. See if he's unable to follow. He's either finished or he's not doesn't want to be followed.
Oh man, Drunken Knight.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going with anything else that's going. What about the?
What about? Should we see if Terry Chapman is playing?
Yeah, Terry Chapman. Can we check out that game? Terry Chapman at the moment.
Douglas.
Over 65 against Michael Marshall.
Michael. Okay, let's just move this over here. There we go. There we go. There's the game. Oh.
All right.
Yeah, so Terry Chapman's got the black pieces against Michael Marshall.
Seems to be the exchange up.
He is the exchange up. He's only got 2 minutes left.
Oh my word! Oh, of course, we mustn't forget the excitement of the old time. But
they do get an extra 15 seconds per move though. So
I have to say this is really looking a bit too good for black, isn't it? E3 and I can't.
Yeah, Bishop takes E3. This looks very, very good, doesn't it?
Or Rook takes E3.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a very sensible move, isn't it?
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, no, this is. I'm afraid this is not. Yeah, even with the time handicap, you'd have to say this is going to go black's
I think
way.
so. Yeah.
He's taken with the rook. Okay. Yeah. So what about? How about? So the game's still. So the grey ones, are they still?
They're the ones game's still going. I'm just going to try and follow 1 or 2 more players though. Right, Diamondaut.
Yes.
Who is Ion Ismail. This is board 1 of the under-16s. He's playing Jitendra Raina. Right.
And he's 2 pawns up with a nicely placed king in the centre of the board and a dangerous passed E pawn.
Yeah.
And black's got a bit of a passive rook. And he's got and black's the one that's in time trouble. So all the cards in white's favour here, you'd have to say.
Yeah. Basically, Yeah. The point is, white's going to go e7 next move. There's not really much that black can do to stop that.
No, that's going to be game
that,
over.
that will win the bishop. In fact, I mean, obviously, white. If it's white's turn here, you could go rook takes d8 followed by e7. That would also be.
That would also be.
So actually, I don't really see much happening in this game, Chris. Do you?
No.
It's going to be pretty straightforward.
We'll keep that one out.
Okay. What about? Should we try? Let's try Kenneth Hobson. See if he's still playing.
Kenneth Hobson. So he is.
Yeah. So he is playing. That is Kenneth Hobson, but I can't see him on the right-hand side.
No.
Which is odd. Maybe he's finished his game.
We've got Paul Dargan in the under.
Yes.
He's nut
That's
flush.
nut flush. Let me try that.
Check him out. If he's still there. Nut flush. Or maybe he's finished his game already. So
it looks like his game's not going either. He's finished as well.
So does that mean all those junior games we were looking at earlier, they've all finished? All the images?
They have, yeah. We've got some more games. There are some other games going.
Yep.
Let's have a look at this game, Imogen.
Oh yeah, Imogen. So
this is wow, yeah.
So
where did we? Should we actually look at this? We looked at this earlier, didn't we? Yeah.
What was this? Hey, where? Yeah, go back to where we were looking at earlier.
This is it.
Oh right, yeah.
So let's go. We actually did quite a lot of work on this game. So let's actually have a look because we basically white had a really good position.
Yeah.
Cashed in and won a pawn. And then we reached a sort of more of a technical stage where white's a pawn up.
Yeah.
But we were saying that this wasn't such a bad result for black, given how difficult position looked.
Yes. Okay.
And actually, I think black then immediately went queen b4. So did this win a pawn back? Because the double attack on d4 and b2, or
and e1 and all sorts of stuff. Yep. So yeah. Wow.
Okay. So that immediately won it back. Okay. Okay. So king f2, queen e7. So it looks okay for black now. Yeah.
Definitely does, doesn't it? Now no c6 pawn because a queen e2 check, isn't there? So
queen g4. I think if I'd have been white, I might have just moved my h pawn and sort of put my king over the other side of the board to make it a bit safer. Because not the queen side, but more just on h2 or something, yeah. Or even just h1 maybe.
Yeah.
And double on it, yeah. Because now you've got to watch out for that queen e3. These checks, haven't you? Queen e3 check happened. King f1. Rook. Wow.
Whoa! Wow. So the idea is if pawn takes, then rook f8 check.
Yeah. So it's black's turn. Okay. So queen d7. That makes sense. And now rook e1.
So leaving it there again.
It's yeah. So obviously, the question is actually, is
there a threat?
No.
Probably not.
So queen takes c6. Oh, this is how we got this endgame. Rook takes d4.
Yeah.
So, of course, white can't take on d4 because that allows mate in 1.
Yeah, that's what.
So, white, instead of doing that, swap the queen for 2 rooks.
Right.
So, we got this double rook against queen endgame.
So, at this moment, you'd have to say white shouldn't be in any danger of losing whatsoever.
The rooks, first of all, the rooks are very well
coordinated,
aren't they? Yeah. There's black. Has one passed pawn, but it's completely blocked. And I guess what white will try and do is break the pin and then just take the pawn on d5 and then try and make progress. Let's see what happens. King g3, check, king back to f2, and then the pin.
Making that progress.
So basically, what white's going to do, I mean, again, I'd be very tempted to somehow. It's not going to be so straightforward. Maybe g3 and king g2.
Yeah, that's so. Just you make the king safe, then take a pawn, and then slowly.
The king on g2 can't be attacked.
No.
Along the diagonal, nor
and it
the
can't
rank.
be along the rank, so no, that seems good. I think that.
The funny thing is, actually, black can obviously protect the pawn, But he still has to worry that the pawn ending might just be losing because we could still actually take it.
That's funny because how long does it? Yeah, so would it take? Okay, so we could do that, but presumably we can get our own. Yeah, that would be fun, John. How long does it take Black to win the A2 pawn, and how long does it take the Queen?
So this is obviously White can take that at any moment, and then be a pawn up in the pawn ending, assuming Black goes Queen takes Rook.
But it could equally, though, John. Surely White could also, although G3 is solid, presumably could just go G4 and H.
Well, exactly.
And up a bit further down the board before taking.
Yeah,
pawn,
this is a big decision that you have to make in these sort of sentences. You can take that pawn, but you can also, it might be better simply to move your pawns a little bit further up the board first, so that in any race, our pawns will actually be further up, which would be obviously very important.
Although without that G3 move, that would be like a little interesting test, wouldn't it? Without that G4 move, which you and I both basically reached the same conclusion, why take any risks? But can you calculate that one? What do you reckon? Rook D5, Queen.
Oh, if you went for immediately, yeah. This,
what do you reckon?
Yeah, this would involve quite a lot of serious calculation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Because the thing is, you can't actually save that pawn.
No.
No, your king's too far away.
So how many moves does it take Black?
So we will have to start just pushing our pawns up, I guess. Yeah.
So Black takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 moves to Queen. But presumably we can go G4, H4, G5. Yeah, we must be a lot quicker. H4 and G5. It's a lot quicker, sure.
Yeah, White wins because White is much quicker. Yeah.
So we are winning either way. Actually.
It's a sim we're winning. Yeah. It's close. It is close.
It's close. But if that pawn could go to the 7th rank, if it was Black's go here, it'd be a draw.
Yeah.
But it's not. Queen, G5. Yeah, there we go.
And then we'll just do a little waiting. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that didn't happen. F4 happened. King F3.
Actually, that's an interesting one we just looked at there, John. You know, if that was going to get to the 7th round, I suppose you'd go F6, and after GF, you'd go G6, wouldn't you?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Keep that F pawn on the board. But anyway, we're getting a little bit too technical.
Yeah, King E6.
But okay.
Can't White just actually take the pawn now?
Yeah, she could do. Presumably, yeah, but she could do. She's probably worried about some Queen C60 thing.
Yeah, but the point is, like,
we know we're winning at end again.
We're not worried about that, are we? Basically,
no, exactly. So she.
So H3 happened.
So she's going to take it anytime she wants.
Okay, pin. King G3. If I was playing White, I'd be tempted to allow Black to do the so-called threat.
Yeah.
Just go.
But to be fair, moving the king means she's threatening Rook D6 check.
Oh yes, of course. So Queen C3. Yeah, Queen C4. And the problem is, White is definitely better, but it's never actually easy to win these positions when you've got opponent's queens buzzing around the board. King F3.
Oh, yeah.
Queen F1, King E4.
Gosh.
It's not easy because basically I'd be tempted in this position.
Yeah, you're tempted to put your king on, but then Black's going to go H4 at some point, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
Another check over there.
But the question is, as long as we can just defend G3 with one of our rooks,
and then go attacking the pawns with the other one.
Yeah, and also we have the idea of going F5 to maybe gang.
That looks as though that should be comfortably winning.
It feels like sort of if you just basically limit Black to one possible checking threat, and then it kind of makes it slightly easy for you because, we'll see what happens. Obviously, the king goes up the board. Oh, sorry.
Oh well.
Are we in live analysis? I think. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
Not to worry.
You always got to be careful of some snap checkmate with the queen, haven't you?
I'm not sure I would have been venturing over to that open space over there, to be honest with you. But we'll
see. It's definitely.
The king's just changed the mind. Oh wow! Okay, so now though.
Well, no, but surely is it White's turn to bat?
It is White's turn to bat, yeah.
Isn't this very good?
Is it going to be a mate? Is it? No.
Oh, it's close, isn't it?
But don't forget, if it's not mate, it doesn't matter about, the fielding. It doesn't matter so much if the batting isn't going to get the sixes.
This is okay. Should we actually see?
That's it. Yeah, okay. We need to go live. Let's check out the time situation, John. What's going on? Oh, Black won.
Huh? It looks like Black won in this position. Let's see. Should we see how it happened?
That would have been a total disaster.
Well, only for white, not for black.
Yeah, okay. Well, obviously, but white was the one that was doing well, is what I mean.
Yeah, let's have a look. Check.
Yeah.
Check.
Well, she hasn't got time on the clock at the moment.
Yeah.
See, yeah, your turn to bat didn't really bat as much.
No, it looks like that white's
because F5 isn't really a possibility, is it? And the rook's just going to go up and down.
It looks like white should probably bet. White's probably got a draw here.
White
should probably be content with a draw. That's what I meant. Because the problem is if you don't.
Now there's the danger that you might not get the end game isn't going to be winning because you're not.
And also
an outside pass pawn.
Yeah, the queen is also just going to keep checking basically.
So she did obviously try to win, presumably, didn't she?
Sure. We need to go back to that position again. Let's try it and let's go back again.
Where did it go wrong? Oh no.
That's slightly annoying.
Oh, if we lost the rest of the game.
Yes.
Oh.
If I go back to there, why is that sort of Yeah. I think actually, as far as I remember, in this position, white did actually go F5, and then black took queen takes.
So that was just a big blunder, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then the queen did swap off for the 2 rooks.
And then the outside passes with the business.
Black, yeah.
Oh no! So regards at the end of the game, we'll have to assume the butler did it. He's always the guilty party. So sorry we couldn't see the end of that, but that looks as though that might have had very unlucky to Imogen there. She put a good effort throughout that, and she was trying to win. To be fair, all the way through, wasn't she? So
absolutely no, it was a really good game actually. Again, and basically, what I like what black did there. Who's playing black in that position?
He dug in deep there, didn't he?
It was Aryan. Yeah, he had a terrible position for the end, but he dug in, just managed to just give up 1 pawn, and that's always a good thing to do because then we basically got a position where white was just a pawn up, but didn't have any other advantages, and somehow that's sometimes easier to play positions like that.
Yeah.
Whereas compared to ones where you're under pressure.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at this game?
Oh, right.
Frankie GM.
Yep.
This is.
They're down to their last 25 seconds.
Yes. This is Frankie Berlusconi against Neo Shershan.
But he's getting his king up there. He's been making serious progress there, John.
I'm just a bit curious about this.
Pawn.
This is you do get 15 seconds increment, don't you?
Apparently not here.
I know what we've done.
What have we done?
He's finished his real game, and we're just because I'm still following Frankie GM. We get.
He's playing a bullet. He's playing a bullet game. Well, thanks a lot.
I've closed him off.
Random bullet games. Is that so? How did he do this real game? Do we know that? Okay.
We don't. We can have a look. I guess we'll keep that game on. Should we have a look at games?
We can always default to his bullet games if we run out of other things.
Let's have a look at games that's still going.
Yeah.
Including B Unit.
Okay, let's check out. I'm going to keep an eye out, see if we've got any messages. There we go. Thanks. Keith is always good. The obsession seems to be with Keith all the time on the messages. So.
Right.
Oh man. Okay, so here we go.
So this was the position we looked at, wasn't it? It did actually happen. In fact, the king did. Sorry, we moved at rook f1, and white didn't actually. What Jeff Lawton did, he actually played the move king f6 to support the rook. And then put the king on e5. That's probably a better option than what we looked at, actually, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. Well, it saves him. There's a couple of tempo extra, but now the problem is the other.
C8, rook takes, knight takes, rook b8. So white's a pawn up with a very nice position, but black's maybe got some small holding chances with his king on e5 being a good piece.
Don't think much to his knight at the moment, though.
No, or his bishop, actually.
No, good point.
Or
for that matter, his rook.
In fact, actually.
Oh, there we
just joined the action at the very end.
That's checkmate.
We're going here. This would be a lovely checkmate, actually.
It is checkmate at the moment.
Oh, my word, yeah. Yes, it's been a long morning. It is actually a nice checkmate there, yeah. Should we see how the game finished?
Yeah.
We go back to that position here, G3. So we were looking at, Rook F1. King F6. Rook A3. Takes.
So he's left that black rook passive.
H3. So this is where we were following it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bishop G2, E3. Rook there just went to take the pawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now white's 2 pawns up. And now the H pawn up the board. Yeah, it's very straightforward. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, black's threatening knight takes C4. So white, Bogdan just avoided that by moving the king, unpinning the bishop. Bishop D2, rook E4, and the pawn will get to H5 at least. But now knight, this is where it happened, isn't it? Okay, knight G7 is a very nice move.
The
problem is knight E8 is a threat, and if you move your knight, there's no easy square to move it to, is there?
No, if you go to F6 as a check on E6 forking. If you go to E5, still the knight E8 drops that. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, okay, you could move your king, I guess, but in the long run, this is just a win for white, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, of course it is. Yeah. Okay, let's check. So there can't be that many more games still going in this particular round. How many?
No, well, there's got lots of games finished now.
Yeah.
Which we could obviously look at.
Terry Chapman's going to go. He's a rook up.
He won, yeah.
He's a rook up. We can close that one probably.
Yeah, we can close that because I think we'd seen that.
Is there a single game remaining from where we originally started with Diamond? Was surely going to win that one over.
There's this game here, Cameron 26. I wonder if that's actually a game from the British Championship.
This was the.
This is
that was the Evans Gambit.
This is still going on. Yeah.
Let's get to the end of that.
Yeah.
Cut through the opening. Cut through the middle game. We did the opening and we're straight to. Oh my! Hey, wait a minute.
This is a funny position, actually, isn't it? Because basically, Black's kind of got a kind of fortress with his king, isn't he? Yeah. I think the amusing thing about this position, it's a draw even if Black loses the knight. But of course, that might not end as a draw. So let's follow the action.
Yeah, it'll be more fun to look at that. It'll be more fun to look at. It'll be more fun to look at the losing the night draw, really, wouldn't it? But will that actually happen?
So this is actually the board one of the under 10. So they've had a really long game.
They have.
Yeah. I mean, knight F8 here, and then knight takes G6 would be a way to draw.
Yeah. But what makes you think he's trying to draw?
No, well, I don't know. He needs to get, if he wants to win, he needs to get the king out, I guess, which isn't going to be easy. But maybe it could be banking on the fact, of course, that the knights are such tricky pieces in when there's not much time left.
Blitz. But that is a useful fallback, Paddy. He can try to be as tricky as he wants to. Whoa! What happened to knight H4? Wasn't that winning the G6 pawn?
Oh, that would have been. And then that would have been game on, wouldn't it?
White would have had to recalibrate and give his bishop up for the G7 pawn.
Yeah, which wouldn't have been too difficult, you would have thought. But
now he's still threatening knight H4.
We'll stay with
knight
this
H4
game.
Is going to do it, surely. Oh my word! So now he's going to go bishop G7. Now he must realise he's going to bail out now. Knight takes pawn, bishop takes pawn. You watch. This is what's going to happen. Yeah, there we go. There was a bit of fun and games there, but that was quite a nice little end to that one there. Yeah. So okay, wow, and is that it then? That's kind of it, John. Is that?
Yeah. Should we look at just some of the actual games that we haven't seen? See that have finished. We can have a quick look at some of the how they got there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe. Aryan Kalani, is that a one or not? Aryan Kalani?
Yeah, sorry. Where's that?
Tactic Monster. Is he there? Oh no.
Oh, it's not there. No. Let's just check that one though.
Let's just check the ones that you've got there if you want, John.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go for.
Well, let's eliminate all the games that you've got there to make that.
Let's go Diamond Or. Basically.
Yeah, he converted that. We can close it.
Yeah,
we can close that one down now. Yeah,
we can close that one as well.
Nightmare Freddy went a bit of a nightmare. And what's going on here? Frankie G. Oh, this was the real life Frankie GM game. Is that right?
Yeah, against Frankie GM. Let me just check. Who was Frankie GM playing?
Or is this one of his free, or is this one of his blitz games?
Yeah.
Oh, Frankie GM. I'll check. Sorry, which section is he under?
Yeah, Frankie. Let's just check. I'm not sure. Actually.
Frankie GM.
No, I got a feeling. No, this was a 3-minute game, so that okay.
This is another one of his fun games. Okay.
Yeah, Frankie GM's been. Let's close all of Frankie GM's games. Oh, this is a game. This is a game that was interesting, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Hey, wait. Where's the White Queen?
It's gone. But let's not.
What do you mean? This was the game where we were talking about the rook takes a4 check. Surely.
So let's have a look at the. Let's see where we left it.
No way. What?
So we left it in the position. White just played Queen D3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is S. Who is this playing? Actually, Whimsical Jam. This is Theo Curry. Had the black pieces, and he was playing against Satyam Kumar. So let's just have a look. We said that basically white has got the advantage, but certainly black has got definite play. In fact, Theo played the move. He played the move Rook C5.
Which is one of our candidate moves, wasn't it? And
then
you recommended Queen E4, yeah?
I kind of just wanted to shut down black's play.
Yeah, seems like a very logical plan.
And I didn't. I couldn't actually see. I mean, you could obviously keep the queens on with Queen G3, but you're moving further away from the action, aren't you? Basically.
I like Queen E4. I have to say, John, that looks like a good move.
But Queen F3 happened instead. But then the move Queen G5.
Okay. Right. Well, you could argue that's a bit away from the action.
Yeah, Queen F3 also looks good. Although, I mean, Queen.
Although the white queen's not as well placed as on E4. No, it's attacking the C3 pawn.
It's attacking the pawn, though, actually. So actually, that in a way, that kind of that's why he went Queen G5 to defend that pawn.
Yeah. So we're going to see it. This is interesting because we know a disaster must occur.
Yeah. But this is like a move. It's like a movie. Don't spoil it.
No, I won't. No. CC8.
Rook CC8.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Again. This is White wants to maybe exchange a pair of rooks, which would then weaken black's attack.
Well, yes, and kind of no. Probably no. But don't forget, there's a Queen C1 in there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was actually thinking about this move, King H7.
But then the H5 pawn would be on.
Hoping in inverted commas for this, but you can hope all you want because once you play this, White gets to do the check.
Yeah.
Not quite checkmate. Yeah. So King 8. Yeah. Okay. So Rook CC8 actually stopping them. Rook E6. Yeah, good move.
Good stuff.
Queen there. Aha, but now the counter-attack comes, yeah?
Yeah, that's looking... Queen takes is definitely a menacing, if not checkmate. It's looking pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
So
Queen E2 would be White's safest option. But he went back... No, actually, going back for the rook is the safest, isn't it?
Now the black queen's definitely improved his position on D4.
Yeah, again Queen E4. White wants to keep that queen doing that, though, yeah? So H4, I like that move. Just so the queen isn't taking a pawn on H4.
Right.
So it makes it harder for White to win that pawn.
No, still Queen E4. But anyway, that's okay. Let's keep going, yeah?
Yeah, Queen E4.
Queen E4, just Rook D1.
I'll be tempted by that move. Yeah, Queen E4. It's a very tempting move. Queen, if Queen D2, then Rook here, yeah?
Yeah.
And then we're going around in circles a little bit, though, aren't we?
But at least we ended up with the queen on its main square now, didn't we? That was quite
good. But it's a bit frustrating. You kind of you still have to then, if you want to make progress.
We could even go Rook H1 then. Could you go Rook H1?
Oh, that's a good way of doing it, isn't it? Threatening Queen.
Well, we might get Rook E8. We might get another one of those two rooks again.
And to be honest with you, that might well be again when you're worse. Basically, a way to mix it up is to make the material imbalance.
Definitely.
Yeah, because even though White might be better here, again, you have that problem. You have that same problem of trying to deal with the queen. I must admit, you've got to be a bit careful here though, because we might be getting checkmated if we go to F7 with Rook E1. So,
I must admit, this is looking pretty good for White though, isn't it?
It is. I think something like that.
Because
you can take here, can't you? And your king's got G6, and it's game on.
Yeah, but Well, yeah, kind of. But yeah,
No, you're
kind
playing
of.
C2 now.
No, but we didn't have to go A5, did we?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, but then again, we're threatening that pawn.
Yeah, maybe. I do like those connected. I like the idea that.
Absolutely, definitely. I definitely agree with you that white's clearly better here. However, this is by no means an easy, practical thing for Black's going to take on F5 next move unless you stop it, and then we're threatening queen takes C2. And we're threatening queen takes D5.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm merely pointing out, even if you did some obvious defensive work like rook E2, and then because H4 is hanging, then you can go like B4 and king B3 maybe in situations. No. The H4 pawn. You don't let me take that pawn free of charge.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah. And then defend that pawn. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems to me that should be or whatever. Well, yeah.
I'll try and go around the back. Your move.
Well, you did give me a rook D4 force. Okay, I like the way you play half my moves and then let me take on the rest.
Yeah,
thanks a lot for that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's get going. I mean, I think I suppose the main point is that in that position where we had here, I think basically things are struggling for Black now. If we allow,
what you mean is he wants to mix it up. Anyway, we know he did better than that, so let's keep going.
So rook D1 happened.
Yeah.
Queen C5, rook D3. Yeah. Here.
Yeah.
Takes. Here.
Oh my word! So okay. So White's doing a bit of
White's made progress here. Yeah,
but he's doing a bit of third-rank defensive work in anticipation of a rook takes.
Yeah, queen E4. Good move. Here.
Where does it go? This is okay.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, obviously something goes horribly wrong because actually White's improved the position considerably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's come on. We need to see it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a move just simply like, for example, rook C4 followed by the other rook to C3 not only safeguards the king but starts attacking down the C file.
Yeah,
as well.
that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
In fact, he wanted some more pawns, but that's not bad either, surely.
No.
I
guess last move Queen C6 would have been a bit of
come on, surely you want to go Queen C6 here, don't you?
Get those queens off the board. Either forced exchange of queens or force Black to make yet another queen move, basically.
Come on. Yeah, I'm afraid that would be
fine. Okay, here Queen C4. Here, good move because obviously the rook's pinned. Okay, that again is fine. Obviously, there is it just got a little bit complicated.
I'm guessing there might have been some time trouble issue. Oh.
Very possible, yeah.
No!
Yeah, that just seemed to do like a finger slip, maybe.
One move.
That's very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. That looks like a finger slip.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we should have looked at the end of the movie first. But okay, yeah, that was obviously very unfortunate for White, who'd actually played a very good game.
Not bad. Yeah.
Should we?
What happened out of interest was the Dennis Dupuy against Schlock? Was that a draw in the end, or
I think Dennis won, but we've lost that game. We could obviously search for Dennis and look it up.
Well, we know we thought it was about equal, minusculely better for Black, possibly, but about equal. Yeah. So you turn that one around. Okay, so were there any other games? Is that it? Really? That's basically it, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, that's the game we just looked at there. We had this Cameron. Oh, that game finished in a draw, didn't it? As we just saw there.
Yeah.
And that seems to be it. Which is final game here. What game is this?
Did we see this game? Don't remember this one.
No, I don't know.
Pencil.
Drifty Pencil against Tom Howson. Let's have a quick look. Okay, have a quick look at this game. So it's an open Sicilian.
Oh, can
variation, yeah. That makes quite a lot of pawn moves in the opening here, but I mean, obviously quite useful ones.
But he counterbalances that by moving his queen. Right. No, okay, yeah. He's got, hopefully that's quite a nice structure. Oh, attacking that E4 pawn.
Okay, so White's done this sort of the so-called English attack, where you basically have a rock-solid pawn formation, then you castle queenside and attack with your kingside pawns.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, looks quite exciting. King b1.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Typical, just moving slightly safer. Square, knight d7. Okay, yeah, that's a typical move as well from black. Just maneuvering the knight round to the queen side.
Anticipating g5. Queen
f2 is quite a clever move, because what black wants to do is move the knight around to this square.
Yeah.
So queen f2 just at least temporarily stops that, because if you do it now, you just lose a piece.
Yeah. Indeedy.
So queen f2, rook c8, rook c1. Oh, very okay. White's certainly safeguarding the king-queen side first.
Queen a5. Seems a bit overkill, but possible. g4. Now he's getting on with it. Okay.
Yeah. b4. Knight here. I mean, there's a temptation to leave the rook on d1, because if you leave the rook on d1, the knight can then go back to c1 to be a very good defender when you need it.
Yeah, I didn't like that rook c1, because c2 was surely adequately protected anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
By knight on d4 and a queen on f2. I think that seemed a bit unnecessary. And of course, you lose all the offensive options for the rook on d1.
Yeah, it's understandable why it wants to defend that pawn, but probably it's not required. So knight here, I like that move because it's coming in. This square's a nice square for the knight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knight g3 and allowing the bishop to come to game. So if knight c4, we could swap the bishop for knight, Chris, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, we could do.
Yeah. Black instead starts to advance in the center to unleash this bishop. Notice that black's not actually castling just yet.
And he wants to bring his light square bishop into d5 if black can. That would be quite a nice.
Yeah. So for example, if bishop takes, we're threatening mate immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, he's kept his king in the middle mainly because he didn't want to commit it to kingside casting, but he could always go there when things are safe.
Yeah, I think what the general idea with this sort of playing d5 before casting, he wants to make his attack on the queen side as strong as possible. So then when he castles, white can't just attack the king without having to defend his own king.
Yeah.
Whereas if he castled earlier, white can start attacking them. Black hasn't yet really got his queenside attack going. So white didn't take on d5. White played knight b3. That's sensible, chasing the queen. Queen went back to c7. Bishop d4. That looks sensible as well, putting the bishop on a nice diagonal. Black now did castle. g1 looks quite exciting position. Okay.
Yeah.
And now a5.
Yes. a5. So, what's your feeling here at the moment, Joe? I mean, I think I quite like black's initiative at this position here, but obviously white's not far away from moves like knight h5 to f6 check type ideas, I guess, or whatever.
Sure. I mean, I like a5. Again, it's like in these sort of positions, you have to sort of make your pawns do the work for you. I mean, basically, black could play with his pieces, but unless you do something with the pawns, it's going to be very difficult to actually get at the white king. So a5, a4, followed by a3, and then we'll b3 just to open it up. So white can obviously, as you mentioned, white's definitely got some ideas of his own.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it's worth pointing out though what neither side have done, which of course is good, is move pawns around their castled king, which, as you point out, makes it a lot longer for the opponent to open up lines against the king. So good stuff.
Yeah. So bishop e2. Okay. a4, knight d2. And then the queen came back to a5. Okay. There's many possibilities.
There's so many options on there.
Yeah. But both sides seem to be in the general flow of attacking the opponent's king.
Yep.
f4. I think that's one of the reasons bishop e2 happens, so that knight has to now go to
c4.
Go here. Okay, and then we had a swap. So now there's 3 black pawns close to.
So black can go a3, b3, or c3. He's got to make a decision on which one of those he advances. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When he plays c3, though, that's definitely going to lead to an opening of the position now, isn't it?
I think so.
Because if white either has to leave it, take, or play b3. Anyway, the queen side's going to be opened.
Yes.
So I quite like actually this idea of taking with the pawn, even though it temporarily blocks the rook.
Yeah.
Right, f5, and wow, this is a good game. This is exciting. C3.
So white now, okay, obviously white's got like f6 or bishop takes g7 ideas of his own. It's so very exciting stuff, isn't it?
Bishop takes g7, certainly a possibility, isn't it?
I would say so, yeah.
There's so many possibilities. For example, black could even he could even let white take the rook, because he could argue that bishop is such a strong piece.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and then basically the idea being you would take with your bishop, and then your bishop would be the one that would be attacking both sides of the board, or defending on the king side and attacking the queen side. So it's, I mean, basically, we could spend all day sort of calculating the best move, or probably more to the point, sticking the engine on. I think it's just nice to see the flow of the game, actually. So after f6, black played a clever move. It's a very nice move, isn't it? He just moved his bishop. And after f takes g7, just moved his rook. And the point is, he says, I'm just going to leave that pawn there because it actually shelters my own king.
Yeah.
A typical defensive idea, but a nice one nevertheless, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
So
unless of course white gets a pawn on h6 and goes knight f6 checkmate, then it's not so good.
Yes, or in this position, if we can get our knight to h6, that would immediately be checkmate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So what happened? Bishop h5. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Pressurizing the pawn. Black could actually play knight. Black could actually play knight e5 here, couldn't he? That's actually a move, isn't it?
He could play knight e5. Yes, he could.
Knights are great in these type of positions on e5, aren't they? I quite like that move, actually.
Yes.
And then you know, then it seems like it's not easy for white to carry his attack on. Maybe rook f1. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, rook f1. I would, of course, threaten bishop takes knight. Bishop. Oh no, it wouldn't. But it would be dangerous.
Threaten that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's threatening that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we probably still have to go rook e7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But actually, I mean, once you get this position, it's still not easy for white to make progress now, is it? In this position, without doing some sort of sack. Meanwhile, black's attack is going forward as well. So
yeah.
Should we see what happens?
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Rook e7. Okay. Rook f1 takes. And now white played a good move, an in-between move. I think probably black shouldn't have allowed that, but let's see. Knight e5. However, even losing the f-pawn's not like the... It's the funny thing about these positions. Like sometimes even if you just lose an important pawn in front of your king, it's still not the end of the world.
No, because it's all about checkmate at the moment, John, until the queens get swapped off in the ending.
Okay, so now black's probably threatening bishop takes. Okay, he did actually just take the bishop. Okay, knight h5 check. Okay, right. So what sacrificed the piece? Let's see how it worked. Takes, king takes, queen f2. Wow. Okay.
Word. So he's invading on that f6 square somewhere along the line.
Yeah,
but
if king g8, perhaps simply queen f6.
Yeah, then he'd defend. Then he would have to defend queen c7 or something. But he's losing more pawns at the best. Well. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's very complicated, isn't it? Maybe we do take that pawn, yeah?
Yeah, because you've got to go knight f7, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a check on it. It looks dangerous, does it?
It looks very dangerous, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to tell whether objectively or whether it's a correct sacrifice. But
or even actually knight f7, g6 are quite dangerous, actually.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah.
So the king runs away to the queen side. Rook e8. I quite like this idea for black. If he can get his king to c8, that's probably the safest place for it at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, but the game goes on. So white's
crazy. So what? He's got 2 pawns for a piece, but he's
White's not actually threatening rook d8 at the moment. But if the black queen can't actually move from that diagonal, because rook d8 would be mate in 2. So what happened? He just took here.
Take something. Okay. Took on b2, right? So come on, white, do your worst.
Knight f4. I mean,
yeah, seems to be going in the wrong direction.
I would be tempted here for white to try and just push my pawns here and distract. You know, if we can push that and go h6.
The only thing though, isn't bishop takes c4? Isn't there going to be something on c2 very, very shortly?
It's going to take a little bit of time for black to do that.
Do you think so?
Sure.
You might
probably, yeah. That guards.
Can't I just go if we go, for example, a bishop Well, whose goes it? White's.
It's White's turn here.
H5, bishop E4, G6 takes B3 or something. I must admit, I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that might just be winning. Yeah. Yeah, I did have an idea here. It just simply doesn't work. I wanted to go rook D8 and swap everything off and go H6.
And then go H7. Yeah. Go H7.
It's not going to work. No, the knight F7 sort of stops that. Yeah. So probably this is winning for black, because the trouble is, the bishop defends and attacks. So yeah, okay. So C takes B2 happened. White played the move knight F4 to come to D5, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
B3. That looks like a good move.
Very good move.
Queen F5 check. King B8. It feels like black
running over to safety.
Yeah. Knight D3.
That knight has struggled to find anywhere. No, now it's going to be opening up his own king position. It's uh-oh.
Oh, that's a very nice finish to the game. Allowing White to go queen takes queen. Nice queen sack to win the game.
Yeah, rook C1.
And that's actually where it finished. Yeah, let's just play that out. Takes. Rook C1 check. Takes. And now.
Promote to a rook.
If you're being cruel, yeah, promote to not cruel, no. I mean, it's just nice.
Show off there is kind of, yeah.
Okay. Good.
Wow.
Should we finish off just by looking at some of the results? Should we go to the results page, Chris?
Yeah, go to the results page to see where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. Should we? I mean, actually, let's just start with the under 18s. If I can go to the pairings and results. Ah, okay. So we had wins for Jonathan Mackay, Savin Diaz, Yikan and Finley Hinchins. Okay, they're playing an all-play-all, aren't they, in that tournament? Let's have a look at the under 16s. So as we saw there, wins the top boards, wins for Ian and Samuel Parry and Paulina Shepinova. So they've actually got 3 players on 3 out of 3. Is that right, Chris?
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, 3. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the under 14s. Third round. Okay, Ian Kalani won. Dimitri Sakharin beat James Merriman. So those, well, actually, it's just Ian Kalani's got 3 out of 3. He's sole leader, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yes.
And
yeah.
The next best is actually Shivam Agrawal, who's got 2.5 out of 3. Okay, under 12s. I think if we have a look, Dennis Dupuy won against Shlok Verma. Harry Zheng won against Shyam Kumar. So Dennis is sole leader there with 3 out of 3. Harry Zheng and Kenneth Hobson got 2.5.
Yes. Yeah.
Under 10s. There's a draw on board 1 in the end. That game we were looking at.
Okay. Yep.
I think that was the famous bishop and pawn versus knight and pawn.
That was the knight takes pawn, bishop takes C7 one. Yeah. Okay.
So that's a draw. So they both got 2.5, and they're joined now by Rishi Vijay Kumar, 2.5 as well. Yeah. Finally under 8s. Maybe not finally, because we've got the seniors to look at as well. So as we saw, George Zhao won, and so did Advait Ketha Kumar. So they've both got 3.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Excellent.
And well, we're at finally over 50s.
Over 50s and over 65s.
Yes.
Working up. So Bolton there.
Yes. So basically, so Chris Duncan. Yeah, we weren't able to see that game for some reason, but he won.
He won 3. He's got 3 out of 3. Not bad.
Yeah, and he's
Bolton also
3. So they will definitely play each other in the next round. Paul Dargan on board 3 drew with Peter Hassan. Okay, and finally over 65s. Terry Chapman, as we saw, won the game. So he's actually overtaken Michael Marshall. He's now on 2.5 out of 3. Michael Marshall remains on 2. On the board 2, George Green. Oh, that's a draw. So Ian Calvert's got 2 as well. And he's joined by Brian Gosling. He's also got 2. I think that's it, isn't it?
That's it, John. That's it.
Good. So thank you for listening today. We are back on tomorrow to see the Women's Championship, which will be starting. Today's round of the Women's Championship starting at 1 o'clock. So we'll be on tomorrow to see round 4, I believe, of the Women's Championship. So yeah, it'd be fun to see you then. Thanks for all your chat. Oops, I won't do that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. Thank you, so everyone. And see you again soon. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thanks.